Chapter 531. Ning Fan stood on the ancient sword. On the ground beneath his feet, countless devil and ghost soldiers were either dead or injured. Fresh blood dyed the ground red. Murderous aura covered the sky, and earth-shaking battle cries resounded from all directions. The wasteland that covers 10,000 li was filled with corpses and skeletons. The momentum of the ghost soldiers under the Bone Sovereign formation gradually weakened. At the end of the day, they were 1 million weaker than Ning Fan. Bone Sovereign's face turned ashen when he saw the ghost soldiers bowing to him. The current Bone Sovereign was dressed in a gray robe and still had the body of a teenager. His appearance was vaguely similar to Wang Yao in the past, but it was completely different from his initial appearance. His eyes flashed with a ferocious red light. He already understood that the ghost army would not be able to take down Ning Fan. 40 years ago, Ning Fan was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. 40 years later, he actually became a void refinement realm cultivator. Even though Bone Sovereign was unwilling to accept it, he had to admit that Ning Fan's innate talent in cultivation was incomparable to him. However, he could not allow a void refinement realm ant to bully him no matter what. Not bad. To a void fragmentation realm expert like him, void refinement realm cultivators were just ants. 2 hours later, all of the 5 million ghost soldiers were dead while there were still around 2 million devil soldiers left. The stench of blood spread across the entire 7th region. As Ning Fan released the magic technique, the remaining devil weapons turned into ashes and dissipated. Ning Fan quietly looked at Bone Sovereign. He had won the first battle of the devil weapons. Where are the 5,000 soul transformation stage cultivators? Form the 7 light bone sacrificing array. Bone Sovereign was enraged. 5,000 divine transformation realm ghosts got into formation. All of a sudden, the 5,000 divine transformation realm cultivators turned into rays of light that moved in the sky and on the ground, surrounding Ning Fan from 7 directions. All the semi-god realm warriors cast a spell at the same time. A white bone formation appeared under everyone's feet. Beams of white light connected all the diagrams into one, and a huge shadow of a white bone profound tortoise appeared in each of the 7 directions. With the 7 white bone profound tortoises as the 7 corners, the array lights connected with each other, forming a huge heptagram array. Just by standing in the middle of the formation light, Ning Fan could already feel the yin qi corroding his bones. His magic power felt like it was about to turn into ice. His body stiffened and he could not move at all. This 7-pointed bone sacrifice array was very powerful. Its power was close to that of an immortal void realm array. Even if a great void cultivator was trapped in the formation light, he wouldn't be able to escape easily. Once he was frozen into ice by the formation light, even his primordial spirit would perish. There was no way he could survive. The light of the 7-pointed star formation rotated violently. In an instant, Ning Fan's long hair and blood were frozen. Even his sea of consciousness began to freeze. When the 7-pointed star rotated for the second time, Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was completely frozen, making it difficult for him to think. Ning Fan seemed to be able to see the bumpy path of cultivation that he had been on. Then his thoughts began to blur, and even his consciousness was about to freeze. Illusions appeared before his eyes. It was as if he was in a world of ice, and he was the only one left in this world. He was going to freeze to death here, alone and helpless. Each time the 7-pointed star rotated, Ning Fan's life force would diminish a little. 40 years of slaughter, 500 years of loneliness, all the warm and sorrowful memories were gradually buried in this ice river world. No. Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes and stared coldly at the 7-pointed star formation light. This formation was indeed powerful. It could freeze his body, his cultivation base and his memories, but not even the heavenly Tao could freeze his undying will. The heavens could collapse, the earth could be overturned, the Tao could vanish and life could be extinguished. Only his undying will would never be extinguished. Void ignition. Ning Fan's 10 fingers moved rapidly. His black hair danced wildly in the air. All of a sudden, a gigantic diagram of black flames appeared beneath his feet. Countless rings of black void flames ignited in all directions, incinerating the traces of cold ice. The sea of flames surged. Ning Fan's life force was depleting rapidly. The black flames around his body suddenly turned into millions of black fiery butterflies. At this moment, the seven-pointed bone sacrifice formation stopped rotating. At this moment, all the cold chi in heaven and earth vanished into thin air. The 5,000 divine transformation realm guards coughed out blood. They stared at the millions of black butterflies in disbelief. They felt an indescribable fear in their hearts. The 12 void refinement realm guards turned pale with fright. They felt that their primordial spirits were about to be ignited by the void flames from the technique of the black butterflies. Bone Sovereign's eyes widened in anger. He stared at the black butterflies in disbelief. After a long time, he gritted his teeth and said with hatred, "This is an immortal technique." No, it's not an immortal technique. However, it is infinitely close to the grade of an immortal technique. How is this possible? Immortal technique. It was a powerful technique that could only be displayed by immortals who had ascended to become immortals. Bone Sovereign could not see through the specific grade of this technique. However, he could feel a sense of danger from it. As Ning Fan changed his hand seal, the millions of black butterflies were burning with black flames. Their wings were burning and condensed into a gigantic black fiery butterfly. The wings of the butterfly seemed to be able to cover the entire sky. Its body was burning with void flames. It wanted to kill its enemies even if it had to burn its wings. The gigantic butterfly aimed its wings at the 7 white-boned profound tortoises, and suddenly flapped its wings. Just by flapping its wings for the first time, Ning Fan had already consumed more than half of his magic power and essence chi. Rings of black flame spread out, and turned the 7 white-boned profound tortoises into ashes. The second flap. The gigantic butterfly aimed its wings at the 5,000 divine transformation realm cultivators. With just a flap of its wings, all of them were burned into ashes by the rings of fire before they could even react. The countless layers of formation light of the 7-pointed bone sacrifice formation collapsed one after another. At this moment, the gigantic butterfly aimed at Bone Sovereign's direction and flapped its wings for the third time. All of a sudden, Bone Sovereign's expression changed greatly. He turned into a ray of gray traveling light and directly soared into the sky, avoiding the attack range of the gigantic butterfly. However, none of the 12 void refinement realm guards in front of him managed to escape. Among them there were 6 void glimpse stage experts, 4 void inquiry stage experts and 2 void pierce stage experts. However, under the third flap of the butterfly's wings, none of them managed to escape. All of them were turned into ashes and dissipated. Ning Fan's magic power and essence chi were all depleted. Moreover, he was injured by the backlash of this void ignition immortal technique. He could not flap the fourth time no matter what. Otherwise, he himself would also turn into ashes. The third flap was already his limit. Activating the life-killing technique, he absorbed all the blood chi within the 10,000 li of the battlefield into his stomach, turning them into traces of essence chi. In an instant, his essence chi had recovered to its peak. As long as the sea of blood in this battlefield does not disappear, his essence chi would not disappear. This was the scariest part of the ancient devil ability, the life-killing technique. All the ghosts in the entire 7th region were slaughtered by Ning Fan alone. Bone Sovereign was the only one left alive. Bone Sovereign's eyes were filled with shock and doubt as he stared at Ning Fan. He could not believe that Ning Fan's ability could reach such a terrifying extent after 40 years. He could burn all of his subordinates with just a single flame technique. If it wasn't for his fast speed in escaping, he would have suffered some injuries from the third flap. He did not want to admit it, but he had to admit that the current Ning Fan was qualified for him to take him seriously. Good. Very good. Your void ignition butterfly flame technique is indeed powerful. I'm afraid even an absolute void stage cultivator might not be able to withstand your third flap of void flames. However, it's still not enough if you want to fight me with this technique. I'm severely injured. My cultivation base has fallen from the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm to the 1st heavenly layer. However, unless you display this technique for more than the 5th flap, you definitely won't be able to kill me with this technique. I suppose this is already your strongest ability. Now you can die. White Bone Dao, Dance of the Early Fern. Bone Sovereign sneered and suddenly performed a hand seal. Countless white bone spikes shot out from the countless mountains and rivers in the 7th region. Each of the white bone spikes was tens of thousands of zhang long. They were as sharp as blades and as large as mountains. The bone spikes pierced through the ground, piercing through the tall mountains from the bottom. The ground of the entire 7th region cracked and shook violently. Even the ghosts in the first few regions could feel the terrifying waves of magic techniques in the 7th region. Chi bone spikes that were as dense as raindrops pierced the sky. All of a sudden, countless bone spikes that were hanging upside down appeared in the sky and pierced down from the sky. They were like 2 iron sieves that were filled with sharp spikes, pressing down on Ning Fan from 2 different directions. Ning Fan had no way to retreat at all. The entire 7th region was within Bone Sovereign's attack range. Even if he had an absolute void stage cultivation base, he would certainly not be able to withstand a single attack from Bone Sovereign. After all, it was a true void fragmentation realm attack. "You're dead meat." Bone Sovereign's cold laughter reverberated across the 7th region like thunder, and reached the 6th region. Ning Fan's hair stood on end. At the critical moment, he suddenly patted his storage pouch, and took out a palm-sized fiery red puppet. That might not be the case. That puppet expanded in the wind and instantly turned into a 10,000 zhang giant. Ning Fan kept the ancient golden sword, and stood on the giant's shoulder. The giant's eyes were empty, but they were filled with respect towards Ning Fan. As Ning Fan gave the order, he suddenly stomped on the ground and punched the heavens, flattening all the bone spikes in the area. Even if these bone spikes could kill an absolute void stage cultivator, they certainly could not kill this flame giant. However, this flame giant was the void fragmentation realm puppet that Ning Fan had subdued in the past. It was the Dao Guardian, Giant Jihua. When Bone Sovereign's magic technique was broken, his injuries worsened. He took several steps back in the sky. Each step he took would shatter the space, and he would cough out a mouthful of blood every time he took a step back. His eyes were flashing with blood-red light. He glared at Ning Fan with a look of disbelief. A void fragmentation realm puppet? This is absolutely impossible. Why does a void refinement realm act like you have a void fragmentation realm puppet to protect you? You don't need to know. Jihua, kill him. As Ning Fan gave the order, Giant Jihua took a step forward and pointed a finger at Bone Sovereign. Seeing that the situation was not good for him, Bone Sovereign hurriedly transformed into a 10,000 zhang tall white bone giant. He opened his mouth and roared, producing circles of white bone sound waves that attacked Giant Jihua. White bone Dao bone devil sound. In the past, Bone Sovereign's clone Wang Yao had used this technique to kill countless cultivators of Yu country. When Bone Sovereign used this technique with his void fragmentation realm true body, its destructive power was even more extraordinary. However, in Giant Jihua's eyes, this technique was not worth mentioning at all. The giant's finger did not slow down at all. The vast sky within 200,000 li was completely sealed by the fiery red heavenly tribulation clouds. The sky seemed to be burning. The entire 7th region seemed to have turned into a steamer. The circles of bone devil sound waves were crushed by Giant Jihua's finger. My name is Jihua. Under my master's order, I'm going to send you a tribulation. The heavenly Tao will be the cauldron, and you will be the pill. Refine. All of a sudden, flames that seemed to be real yet illusory descended from the sky, enveloping the giant that Bone Sovereign had transformed into. It then turned into a gigantic flaming pill cauldron, trapping Bone Sovereign. As the sea of flames rose from the pill cauldron, Bone Sovereign immediately let out a shrill scream. He could not believe that Ning Fan not only possessed a void fragmentation realm puppet, but also had extraordinary combat power. It could actually use the flames of the heavenly tribulation as a means of attack. This is absolutely impossible. I don't believe it. Bone Sovereign was enraged. The red light in his eyes gradually became brighter. He was Bone Sovereign. He wanted to destroy this tribulation cauldron. Chapter 532. The cauldron that Giant Jihua had summoned was the fire of heavenly tribulation, so its power was nothing to scoff at. Every wisp of flame contained ancient runes. Even Bone King would find it hard to escape from the cauldron. At the moment of life and death, a blood-red thunderbolt shot out from Bone Sovereign's right eye. This blood-red thunderbolt was the force of the extreme realm. It was comprehended by Bone Sovereign from the heavenly tribulation, and contained the might of the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation lightning clashed with the heavenly tribulation fire, causing the pill furnace to shatter. The remaining red lightning of the pinnacle realm instantly struck Giant Jihua, severely injuring him. Boom! As the pill furnace was destroyed, Bone Sovereign finally broke out of it and escaped. However, he was severely injured and his cultivation base dropped again. Now he was only left with the cultivation base of the Void Pierce stage. He had already reverted to his original form, but he was unable to maintain his giant form. He had already transformed back into the appearance of a gray-clothed youth. Giant Jihua was injured by the Bone Monarch's G realm, and his puppet body was almost half destroyed. This was enough to show how powerful the Bone Monarch's attack was. Giant Jihua's cultivation base was at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. Moreover, it was rare for him to find a worthy opponent among those at the same level. However, Bone Sovereign was once an expert at the fifth heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. Even if his cultivation base had fallen to the same level as the giant, his strength was still slightly stronger than the giant. After being struck by the Bone King, the giant could no longer fight unless it recovered. However, Bone Emperor's eyes were still filled with an indelible shock. I understand now. This Void Fragmentation realm puppet is the Tao Guardian, who controls the heavenly tribulation. You're a madman. You actually captured a Tao Guardian to use as a puppet. You've completely offended the Nine Realms' first ring of heavenly Tao. Ningfan did not pay attention to Bone Sovereign. He just glanced at Giant Jihua, who was severely injured, and sighed softly. Bone Sovereign was not an ordinary cultivator. At his peak, he was merely an expert at the fifth heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm, which was comparable to Moksha Sovereign. It was already impressive that Giant Jihua was able to knock Bone Sovereign's cultivation level down. Since he couldn't use it now, he decided to wait until he recovered before using it. There was no need for Giant Jihua to deal with Bone Sovereign, who had fallen to the Void Pierce stage. Ningfan alone was enough to deal with him. With a flick of his sleeve, the giant turned into a doll, and was kept in his storage pouch. Ningfan summoned his 8 black burning wings and touched his glabella. Then he took out the Separation Slayer sword. With a flash of light, he dashed straight at Bone Emperor. His sword was extremely simple. Strength. The sword light slashed at the Bone Emperor's head with a tremendous force that could push mountains and fill the seas. Bone Emperor raised his fist and punched at the sword light with the same mountain-shattering force. The fist ray and the sword ray collided and both shattered. However, the moment Ningfan's sword light shattered, countless hidden black fishing lines suddenly shot out from it. This scene was similar to what Fangxi had done on the other day, hiding the fishing line in a spell. The black fishing line had an aura that made one's heart palpitate. How would Bone Sovereign dare to underestimate it? He immediately retreated 10,000 miles away, but his right arm was still pierced by the fishing line. In the blink of an eye, the vitality of his entire right arm flowed away, and the aura of death overflowed as it suddenly turned into ashes and scattered. Ah! Bone Sovereign let out a blood-curdling scream as he lost his right arm. He clutched his broken arm and stared at Ningfan in fear. He did not expect that Ningfan would also know this strange fishing line technique that could corrode everything apart from the void ignition technique. As a void fragmentation realm sovereign expert, he was extremely proud and arrogant. However, he had to admit that he was definitely not Ningfan's match in his current severely injured state. If he is slightly careless, he, a dignified fifth heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert, would lose his life in Ningfan's hands today. Extreme realm. Bone Sovereign's right eye shot out a blood-red tribulation lightning which turned into millions of blood-red lightning bolts and struck at Ningfan. Ningfan suddenly took a step towards the sky, and a massive Tai Su lightning diagram appeared beneath his feet. It absorbed 70% of Bone Sovereign's tribulation lightning into the lightning diagram. At the same time, he spread out his sword sense and destroyed the remaining 30% of the tribulation lightning. If Bone Sovereign uses the tribulation lightning of the extreme realm when he was at his peak, Ningfan certainly would not be able to withstand it. However, when Bone Sovereign, who was at the Void Pierce stage, used the extreme realm, he was not afraid at all. Even though Ning Fan had broken Bone Sovereign's extreme realm attack, he did not let his guard down at all. Thus he also hid Bone Sovereign's trump card behind the extreme realm attack. After the extreme realm attack, there was a treasure which launched a sneak attack at Ning Fan. It was a golden brush that was surrounded by flames and frost. The golden brush swung in the air and drew a golden rune in the sky. It was also surrounded by flames and frost. Ning Fan did not know what kind of brush it was nor what kind of rune it was. That golden rune expanded to 10,000 zhang in size and pressed down on Ning Fan's head. The aura force of this golden rune alone made Ning Fan's magic power stagnate, making it hard for him to breathe. His entire body felt like it was nailed to the sky and he could not move at all. Ning Fan forcefully lifted his Separation Slayer sword and pushed its power to its limit. Then he thrust it at the golden rune above his head. Under the tremendous force, the golden rune was shattered, but Ning Fan's longsword was knocked out of his hand. The bones in one of his arms were nearly shattered. Just a single golden rune was actually infinitely close to the destructive power of an absolute void stage attack. This golden brush looks a little familiar. I seem to have heard of it somewhere before. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu pondered. She was ready to lend Ning Fan a helping hand at any time when he is in danger. I don't know what this golden brush is, but I know what the flames and frost on it are. Among the heavenly frost and earthly flames, they are the earth-blazing flame and mending heaven heart that are ranked first. Ning Fan's eyes revealed a solemn expression. This is the immortal brush that I picked up at the entrance of the 8th region. Each of its strokes can produce a golden rune. The power of these runes is unfathomable. With your cultivation base, how many runes can you block? Bone Sovereign pointed at the golden brush in the sky. The golden brush drew 2 strokes in the sky and instantly turned into 2 golden runes. The 2 golden runes were already equivalent to an attack from an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator. The 2 golden runes grew to 10,000 zhang in size and suddenly came crashing down. If Ning Fan tries to block the golden runes again this time, all the bones in his body would certainly be shattered. Rumble. The golden runes came crashing down on Ning Fan's head. Pieces of the ground and the sky were shattered. The place where Ning Fan was standing was blasted into ruins. Bone Sovereign looked at Ning Fan, who no longer existed, and sneered. With your insignificant cultivation base, you're actually worthy of being my enemy? You're just seeking your own death. Is that so? Countless black shadows suddenly dispersed in the vast sky and condensed into a black-haired young man in black robes. There was a demonic mark on the left side of his face, but the corner of his lips was bleeding. At the critical moment, Ning Fan summoned his primordial lightning armor and revealed his incarnation. The primordial lightning armor was shattered by the golden runes. Even though Ning Fan used his incarnation to block the attack of the 2 golden runes, he still suffered serious injuries. Humph! I didn't expect you to escape my killing blow by destroying your incarnation. However, even though you weren't killed by the 2 golden runes, you won't be able to withstand the attack of 3 golden runes. With my Void Pierce stage magic power, I can only use the golden brush to form 3 golden runes at most. Even an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator would find it hard to withstand the combined attack of 3 golden runes. Next, you will die for sure. Bone Sovereign burst into laughter. He pointed at the sky and tried to activate the golden brush to draw 3 golden runes again. However, at the next moment, Bone Sovereign's face turned pale. To his horror, he realized that the golden brush had lost its effect and could not be activated. He suddenly raised his head and looked at the golden brush in the sky. To his surprise, he realized that the flames and ice which were originally revolving around the golden brush had vanished into thin air. Because of the disappearance of the flames, the golden brush actually lost its power and could no longer be activated. As for Bone Sovereign, his life was intertwined with the golden brush. Now that the flames of the golden brush were taken away, his injuries became even more serious. His cultivation base fell from the Void Pierce stage, leaving him with only a Void Inquiry stage cultivation base. Are you looking for this earth-blazing flame? The black-robed Ning Fan raised his hand expressionlessly. He was holding a ball of blazing golden flames. When he destroyed his incarnation just now, he had already secretly used the fire-plucking technique to seize the earth-blazing flame from the golden brush. Now that the golden brush had lost its power, it would be impossible for it to draw 3 golden runes. Ning Fan looked at Bone's Sovereign indifferently. His expression was cold and emotionless. He and Bone Sovereign had a few grudges against each other. Today, however, everything would be resolved. You who only have a void inquiry stage cultivation base is nothing in my eyes. You can die now. With a single step, Ning Fan vanished without a trace. Bone Sovereign's hair stood on end, and a sense of danger rose within him. I will die. I will die. He wanted to keep the golden brush and flee. However, he realized that countless strange bloodlines suddenly appeared on his body, freezing him in the sky and making him unable to move. Ning Fan's cold figure suddenly appeared behind him. He held a ball of black fishing line in his hand, and threw it at Bone Sovereign's back. No matter how strong Bone Sovereign's physical body was, which was comparable to a body refinement cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the Nirvana realm, his body was still easily pierced by the fishing line. His entire body was rapidly decaying under the entanglement of death chi. Bone Sovereign's eyes flashed with hatred. He knew that he could not escape today no matter what. The only thing he could do was to die. He had once died in the hands of the Sword Ancestor. After that, he revived in the body of a ghost in this demon's sinister forest. He had cultivated diligently for many years, and attained the void fragmentation realm again. However, he died in Ning Fan's hands before he could attain the Great Tao. He was unwilling to accept this. He regretted even more that he had offended this young man in the past, and became enemies with him. However, it was too late for him to regret now. I am Bone Sovereign. Even if I have to die, I will never die in the hands of a junior like you. The only one who can kill me is myself. His eyes widened in anger. He activated his primordial spirit, and was about to self-detonate. He wanted to detonate himself. He wanted to kill Ning Fan with his own life. It was difficult to avoid the self-detonation of a void fragmentation realm expert, even if one hid in the space of the heavenly dwelling. Bone Sovereign revealed a maniacal smile. He wanted to perish together with Ning Fan. Die. With a loud bang, Bone Sovereign's primordial spirit self-detonated and died. However, the force of his self-detonation turned into a terrifying wave that flattened the entire 7th region. After a long time, Ning Fan appeared above the ruins of the 7th region with a sway of his body. Unfortunately, Bone Sovereign could not kill him with his explosion. At the moment when Bone Sovereign self-detonated, Ning Fan directly entered the profound Yin world to avoid the destructive force of his self-detonation. Ning Fan stood on top of the ruins for a long time. His eyes scanned across the boundless ruins, the corpses that were so badly mutilated that they could not be identified, the ashes on the ground, the sense beads, the broken treasures and the golden brush that Bone Sovereign left behind for a long time. Ning Fan remained silent. He closed his eyes and felt a little lonely inside. He had incurred several grudges with Bone Sovereign. Putting aside Bone Sovereign's personality, he was indeed an extremely difficult opponent to deal with. As for him, he would rather commit suicide than die in Ning Fan's hands. He could be considered as a man with backbone. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have become enemies with me. Once you become enemies with me, either you or I will die in this battle of cultivation. Don't provoke me in your next life. Ning Fan flicked his sleeves and kept the spoils of war on the ground before leaving quietly. When he returned to the Yellow Spring Demon City, the entire city was dumbfounded. Bone Sovereign was dead. He died in Ning Fan's hands. There were no survivors in the 7th region. Just looking at the ruins that stretched for 1,000,000 li was enough to make the ghost cultivators of the city tremble with fear. What kind of terrifying battle had actually taken place in the 7th region? You actually killed Bone Sovereign. Mu Xiaoyang covered her small mouth with her hand and stood there in a daze. She could not regain her senses for a long time. The sovereign king of the demon's sinister forest had actually died in Ning Fan's hands. This was just too unbelievable. Mu Xiaoyang looked at Mei Chen, who was sleeping on the bed. Even though she was unconscious, her eyebrows were filled with worry. She was probably worried about Ning Fan. If she wakes up and finds out that Ning Fan had massacred the entire 7th region and killed Bone Sovereign, how surprised would she be? Let her sleep for a while more. I also need to have a good rest. Ning Fan revealed a tired smile. His arm bones were still aching and his immortal veins were still swollen. Ning Fan's injuries in this battle were definitely not light. This time, he had no idea how long he would have to recuperate. Chapter 533. Mei Chen was still unconscious while Ning Fan went into the Yuanyao world and entered the dark golden pagoda. Inside the seven-floored pagoda, Ning Fan waved his hand and summoned 99 natal black stars, bathing them in the starlight that filled the sky. Then he took out a sixth revolution medicine and swallowed it. He closed his eyes and began to heal himself. Ning Fan sat inside the dark golden pagoda for 3 years. Only then did he manage to fully recover from his injuries. Only half a month had passed in the outside world. Slowly heaving a sigh of relief, Zhang Xian opened his eyes. His black pupils were as deep as the abyss, devoid of any emotion. When he recalled killing the Bone Sovereign half a month ago, it felt like a dream. Bone Sovereign is a formidable enemy. He's also the first void fragmentation expert that I've killed, but he definitely won't be the last one. Although void fragmentation experts are strong and have reached the first step of cultivation, they can still be killed. Han Yetian, I am walking towards you step by step. Ning Fan closed his eyes and inspected his own body. He realized that his baleful qi had become much heavier. Even though Moksha Sovereign had committed suicide, the cause of his death was because he fought with Ning Fan. Therefore, Ning Fan was more or less tainted with some baleful qi. Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. He suddenly remembered a saying in the mortal world. I didn't kill Boren, but Boren died because of me. After killing someone, one would be tainted with baleful qi. This contained the principle of karma. Karma. If I can sever my karma, I can kill people without being tainted by baleful qi. The reason why I was attacked by Giant Ji Hu the last time I broke through to the Void Glimpse stage was because I have committed too many killings in my life and was tainted by too much baleful qi. Above the 4 heavens, those true immortals and immortal emperors probably couldn't avoid fighting. They destroyed planets and killed billions of people. The number of people they killed must be countless times more than me. However, they were not troubled by the heavenly Tao. I'm sure many of them have the means to sever karma and avoid the baleful aura. Ning Fan said to himself. He was only thinking about these things and had no intention of erasing the baleful aura. This ominous aura came from the killings he had committed. However, he had never regretted the killings he had committed, so there was naturally no need to hide it. I have walked my own path. That is my path. There is no need to regret it. He gathered his thoughts and began to rummage through his storage bag. There were many spoils of war inside. 5 million gold core realm sense beads, 5,000 divine transformation realm sense beads, 12 void refinement realm sense beads, and 1/5 heavenly layer void fragmentation realm sense beads. There were countless damaged and undamaged magical treasures, and countless worn-out storage bags filled with spirit herbs that had been growing in the 7th region for countless years. Ning Fan gave them a rough glance and made a rough estimation. Among this batch of spiritual herbs, there were nearly 50 tufts of 100,000 years old spiritual herbs, 3,000 tufts of 50,000 years old spiritual herbs, 70,000 tufts of 10,000 years old spiritual herbs, and countless thousand years old spiritual herbs. These spiritual herbs were more than enough for Ning Fan to squander freely. What Ning Fan cared about the most was the spoils of war that he had seized from Bone Sovereign. Other than the golden brush, Ning Fan had also seized Bone Sovereign's storage pouch. There were a lot of good things in Bone Sovereign's storage pouch. There was even a low-grade 7th Revolution healing pill. Ning Fan pondered for a moment, and decided to leave this pill for Mei Chen. Although Mei Chen would need to take at least a high-grade 7th Revolution medicine to heal her injuries, this low-grade medicinal pill would still help her heal a little. Other than this pill, there were also many other pills in Bone Sovereign's storage pouch. Among them, there were actually 4 first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm ghost sense beads. Ning Fan guessed that these 4 void fragmentation realm ghost beads must have been obtained by Bone Sovereign when he unified the 7th region in the past. It was imaginable what kind of terrifying massacre Bone Sovereign had committed in the 7th region in the past. He had even killed 4 void fragmentation realm ghosts. After keeping the spiritual herbs and the sense beads, Ningfan's eyes fell upon the golden brush and the earth brilliant flame. The earth brilliant flame was originally attached to the golden brush, while Bone Sovereign had picked it up at the entrance of the 8th region by chance. The number 1 heavenly frost cold chi and the number 1 earth vein demonic flame were actually attached to this golden brush. What exactly is the origin of this golden brush? It was a golden brush that was once used by an immortal. The grade of its magic treasure was not high. However, after pouring cold chi and spiritual fire into it, it could unleash its power and draw golden talismans with immeasurable power to attack the enemy. It was indeed extraordinary. Little you heir, do you remember the origin of this golden brush? Let me think about it carefully. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu fell into deep thought, which was rare for her. She rummaged through the memories in her mind, trying to recall where she had heard about this golden brush before. However, she could not recall it at the moment. When her eyes fixed on the earth brilliant flame and the heaven mending heart, she suddenly remembered. Heavenly frost cold chi and earth vein demonic flame. Yes, this is one of the talisman brushes of the Golden Talisman Palace. Golden Talisman Palace? It was Ningfan's first time hearing about the name of the Golden Talisman Palace. The Golden Talisman Palace is an ancient force located in the southern heaven immortal world. It was annihilated tens of millions of years ago. That's why I couldn't recall it at that moment. It was only when I saw the heavenly frost earth flame that I recalled it. Luo Yu paused for a moment as if she was trying her best to recall. Then she continued. The Golden Talisman Palace is a talisman cultivation sect. Their disciples are experts in crafting and drawing talismans. Each of them has a golden brush as a magical treasure. The golden brush is not only a tool for crafting talismans, but also a token of identity for the disciples of the Golden Talisman Palace. If you don't have a golden brush with you, you won't be able to enter the remains of the Golden Talisman Palace. Look at this golden brush. Is there a name and position on it? Upon hearing her words, Ningfan carefully studied the golden brush. At the end of the brush, he saw an ancient inscription. Golden Talisman Palace Warehouse Deacon. Wuxia. Ningfan read aloud. Hee little brother, you're really lucky. Although the Golden Talisman Palace has been destroyed, there are still 108 vaults in the ruins that are in a sealed state. If little brother ascends to the southern heaven celestial realm one day, and goes to the ruins of the Golden Talisman Palace, you can use this golden brush to retrieve the treasures that Wuxia guarded in the past. That's a treasure that was guarded by an immortal. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in there, Luo Yu said with a chuckle. Apart from being a talisman drawing magic treasure, this golden brush also has such a use? If that's the case, if I have the chance to go to the southern heaven immortal world, I must make a trip to this Golden Talisman Palace. Ningfan nodded. If you want to go to the Golden Talisman Palace, it's best if you have the cultivation base of a true immortal. The waters of the Golden Talisman Palace are a little deep. If your cultivation base is too low, you might die in the ruins. Do you know why the Golden Talisman Palace was destroyed all those years ago? Luo Yu withdrew her teasing smile and spoke with a serious expression. Why? The founding ancestor of the Golden Talisman Palace is the painter of the second of the 4 ancient diagrams. The Golden Talisman Palace was destroyed because it involved the secrets of the 4 ancient diagrams. The 4 ancient diagrams again. Ningfan was surprised. The 4 ancient diagrams are specially made ancient diagrams. They contain the Great Tao. The first ancient diagram is called the Immemorial Fisherman's Mino painting. It contains the Great Tao of life and death. With your cultivation base, if you obtain the Immemorial Fisherman's Mino painting and comprehend the Tao of life and death within it, it will be a piece of cake for you to break through life and death and ascend to immortality. The second ancient diagram is called the Golden Sky Black Map. It contains the Great Tao of Yin and Yang. It can help a true immortal to break through the illusions of Yin and Yang, comprehend the truth of the Tao, and obtain the opportunity to become an immortal emperor. Of course, you're a cultivator of the Yin-Yang transformation. If you obtain the Golden Sky Black Map, I'm sure it will be greatly beneficial to your cultivation of the Yin-Yang transformation. Luo Yu sighed softly. In the past, she had also searched for the golden sky black map. If she could obtain this map, she would not have to settle for the second best and choose to cultivate the yin-yang transformation for revenge. If I obtain the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting, I can ascend to immortality? If I obtain the golden sky black map, I can become an immortal emperor? Ning Fan's heart trembled slightly. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting was one thing, but the golden sky black map was definitely something that countless true immortals would fight for desperately just for the opportunity to become an immortal emperor. It was no wonder that the Golden Talisman Palace was destroyed by someone. A man's wealth was his own ruin. Moreover, the whereabouts of the golden sky black map was currently unknown. Presumably, many true immortals who are searching for maps would lock their sights on the remains of the Golden Talisman Palace. The golden pen in Ning Fan's hand could open one of the 108 vaults of the Golden Talisman Palace. If some true immortals find out that he has a golden pen, would they try to snatch it from him? In other words, unless it's absolutely necessary, I shouldn't show this golden pen to others casually? Ning Fan asked. Just keep this pen for now. This pen can be used to draw golden talismans. It is indeed a powerful magic treasure. However, it's related to the secrets of the 4 ancient diagrams. It's best not to use it casually. Luo Yu reminded him. I understand. I'll keep this golden pen for now. As for the Golden Talisman Palace, I'll go there when I have the chance. If I don't have a sufficient cultivation base, I don't want to go to the remains of the Golden Talisman Palace and court death. Ning Fan extracted the cold chi from the golden pen and kept it away. Looking at the dancing golden spirit flames and black cold chi in front of him, the corner of Ning Fan's lips curled into a smile. After devouring these 2 balls of cold chi and spirit flames, I'll have gathered all 24 types of heavenly cold earth flames. The yin-yang devil fire that I'll create after fusing them should be comparable to a high-grade 7th-grade immortal void flame. It will be greatly beneficial to both pill refinement and magic techniques. Ning Fan calmed his mind and started refining the last 2 types of heavenly cold earth flames. As he refined the earth brilliant flame and heaven repairing heart bit by bit, the left half of Ning Fan's body seemed to be burning. Raging golden flames rose while the right half of his body seemed to be frozen, turning into a black ice sculpture. Another 6 months passed by on the 7th floor of the pagoda. Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. Be it the golden flames or the black ice, all of them had been absorbed into his body. He suddenly stood up and raised his hand. An extremely terrifying black flame was dancing in the center of his palm. This black flame was obviously the fusion of countless low-grade spirit flames and cold chi. However, its destructive power was comparable to a high-grade 7th-grade immortal void flame. One should know that even if a pill sovereign possessed a quarter of the pure yang flame, it would only be equivalent to a mid-grade 7th-grade immortal void flame. Since Ning Fan had fused all of the heavenly cold earth flames, the grade of his flames was even higher than the pill sovereign's. Come down. It's time to repair the puppet. Ning Fan kept the black flames into his body. Then he patted his storage pouch and took out a fiery red puppet that was riddled with holes. Looking at the grave injuries of the puppet, Ning Fan could not help but smile bitterly. Bone Sovereign was really strong. Even though his cultivation base had fallen to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, he could still destroy half of giant Jihua with a single strike. If Bone Sovereign was at his peak, he would probably not be much weaker than Moksha Sovereign. Luckily, this puppet isn't completely destroyed. There's still a possibility of repairing it. However, the amount of immortal jade needed to repair a void fragmentation realm puppet is not a small amount. Ning Fan had given the Yellow Spring Demon City billions of immortal jade to guard the city. He did not have much immortal jade left. However, he still had the Dao Crystal, which was equivalent to tens of billions of immortal jade. It was more than enough to repair the void fragmentation realm puppet. Let's begin. He summoned the puppet. It immediately grew in the wind and turned into a 10,000 zhang giant. Ning Fan surrounded the giant's body and began to set up a grand formation on the ground to repair the puppet. Presumably, it would take a lot of time to repair the puppet. Ning Fan had spent nearly 4 years in the Dark Golden Pagoda. However, Only half a month had passed in the outside world. During this time, Mei Chen had already woken up. She was wearing a thin robe and sitting at the head of the bed, staring blankly at the drizzling rain outside the window. She still remembered how shocked she was when she woke up half a month ago and heard the news of Bone Sovereign's death. This stinky man. Even though he is a little shameless, he risked his life for me and the Yellow Spring Demon City. Sigh. Why does he treat me so well? He's just a void glimpse stage cultivator, but he risked his life to fight a void fragmentation realm expert. Isn't he afraid? Today, Mei Chen's injuries had completely stabilized. Her cultivation base had recovered to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, in order to recover her third heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base, she must consume a high-grade 7th revolution pill. Mu Xiaoyang was accompanying Mei Chen at her side. When she heard Mei Chen's sigh, she immediately supported her cheeks with one of her hands and showed a fascinated and touched expression. Elder sister Mei Chen, Ning Fan is really good to us. How can we repay him? That's right. How can we repay him? Don't tell me that I really have to be his demon pet to repay him? When Mei Chen thought of that, she immediately felt a chill down her spine. Pooh. I'd rather die than be his demon pet. Just as Mei Chen was mumbling to herself, a teasing voice suddenly resounded. Little Black, you're being naughty again. If you don't want to be my demon pet, who do you want to be? If you become someone else's demon pet, I'm going to get angry. Ning Fan, who was dressed in white robes, walked into the house with a smile on his face. After he left the Yuanya world, he had already brought all the sense beads in the Yellow Spring Demon City with him. As soon as she saw Ning Fan, Mu Xiaoyang's face immediately turned red while Mei Chen's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. I won't be your demon pet even if I die. Do you hate me that much? Ning Fan continued to tease her. Of course. You're too shameless. Mei Chen said straightforwardly. Is that so? It turns out that you don't want to be my demon pet. This is giving me a headache. I thought of a way to bring you and Weiyang out of the demon's sinister forest to see the outside world. However, you don't want to be my demon pet. If that's the case, I can't bring you away. Ning Fan intentionally sighed. What? You actually have a way to bring the ghosts and demons out of the demon's sinister forest. How is this possible? Mei Chen's heart skipped a beat. The demon's sinister forest was the land of 9 Yin. It belonged to the Yin world where ghosts and spirits lived. The ghosts and spirits in the Yin world couldn't go to the Yang world. Otherwise, they would turn into ashes and perish. Even if they were brought out of the heavenly dwelling, they could only live in the heavenly dwelling. They were not allowed to leave the heavenly dwelling. Even if Bone Sovereign wanted to leave the demon's sinister forest, he would need to spend a lot of effort to condense a true soul clone. Ning Fan actually had a way to bring the ghosts and spirits out of the demon's sinister forest. This was really unbelievable. If it was someone else, Mei Chen would certainly not believe it. However, Ning Fan never lied. If he said he had a way, he must have a way. Mei Chen really wanted to leave the demon's sinister forest. She wanted to see the outside world more than those ghosts and spirits. She was the only demon in the demon's sinister forest, the Yellow Spring Sable. She cultivated by devouring ghosts and spirits. Unlike the other ghosts and spirits who had died once, they had seen the colorful world outside. Mei Chen had never left the demon's sinister forest in her entire life. She really wanted to go out and have a look. However, when she heard Ning Fan's half-threatening and half-tempting tone, she felt extremely displeased. Obviously, Ning Fan wanted to bring her out of the demon's sinister forest as a condition to make her submit to him and become his demon pet. This made her very unhappy. She didn't like being threatened. Mei Chen gritted her teeth and stared at Ning Fan angrily. Are you threatening me? If I don't become your demon pet, you will never bring me out of the demon's sinister forest, right? You're shameless. Ning Fan sighed and shook his head. He was just joking with Mei Chen. I'm just joking. I've obtained an ancient pill recipe. It's a low-grade 6th revolution pill. It's called True Yang Pill. It's specially made for ghosts like you. Once you consume it, your body will condense some Yang Qi. Even if you leave the demon's sinister forest, you won't turn into ashes. Of course, I'll be happy if you become my demon pet. If you don't want to, I won't force you. For the sake of our friendship, I will concoct this pill for you no matter what. However, if I bring you out of the demon sinister forest, I hope you can promise me one thing. That is to protect my family. In exchange, I will find a way to find a high-grade 7th Revolution healing pill for you. It will help you completely recover from your injuries and restore your 3rd heavenly layer void fragmentation cultivation base. I'll go to the 7th region to have a look. You should have a good rest. Ning Fan sighed slightly. He turned and left the room, walking into the rain. Mei Chen's expression froze. Her heart suddenly felt empty. She didn't know why, but when Ning Fan talked to her in the tone of a trade or a request, she felt distant and disappointed. She would rather Ning Fan be shameless and flirt with her. It was better than being distant to her. If I knew it would make me so upset, I might as well agree to be his demon pet. Stinky man. If I don't agree to be your demon pet, won't you beg me? Mei Chen gently bit her lips. Mu Xiaoyang looked at Mei Chen in confusion. She didn't understand why she sighed. Sister Mei Chen shouldn't be happy that we can leave the demon sinister forest without having to be his demon pet. Why is she sighing? I don't understand. With Mu Xiaoyang's pure mind, she wouldn't be able to understand a woman's complicated feelings. Ning Fan held the blood-red umbrella and walked alone in the rain. Bone Sovereign's death, Ning Honghong's disappearance, Xiao Hei's alienation. All of these made him have mixed feelings. He raised his head and looked at the rain. Gradually, he felt that the sound of the rain was depressing. However, when he walked to the ruins of the 7th region and saw the battlefield full of corpses, he felt that the rain wasn't depressing at all. In fact, it felt a little desolate. Ning Fan suddenly realized that it wasn't the rain that was depressing and desolate. It was the human's mood. The raindrops fell from the sky. The trail was the life of the rain. Although the life of the rain was short, there were also joys and sorrows. One could see the human's mood in the rain. There were countless great Taoists in the world. Everyone had their own Tao. If one had the mood to comprehend the Tao, he would probably be able to comprehend his own great Tao in the rain. Ning Fan's eyes were deep. He recalled the scenes when he entered the Dark Sparrow's grave. In the past, I thought that Kei Shensi had comprehended the divine intent of rain in the Dark Sparrow's grave. However, that wasn't the case. What Kei Shensi comprehended was the Tao. There is a great Tao in every type of rain. A drop of rain is enough to contain all the emotions in the world, and the great Tao in the world. The circle formed by the raindrops is the great Tao. The trail of the raindrops is the trail of the great Tao. Ning Fan's eyes gradually became clear. The drizzle in front of him seemed to be frozen. The trail of each raindrop was slowed down infinitely as if it was still. He raised his hand and caught a raindrop, staring at it carefully. In that raindrop he saw countless great Tao. However, some of them were real and some were fake. He could not tell them apart. His entire mind was immersed in the raindrop in his palm. The scenery in front of him changed, as if he was standing in a vast and boundless world of rain. In this world where raindrops intertwined, a gigantic golden ring was hanging in the boundless sky, the heavenly Tao ring. Ning Fan stood in this world of rain, and his comprehension deepened. It turned out that a drop of rain also had its own heavenly Tao, and the heavenly Tao was circular. It turned out that as long as one's heart becomes extremely small, even a drop of rain would be as huge as the entire world. If one's heart becomes bigger than the 4 heavens and 9 worlds, then perhaps the 4 heavens and 9 worlds would just be looking at a drop of rain. A world in a flower, a rulai in a leaf. Is the world that I'm standing in boundlessly huge, or is it so small that it's just a drop of rain in the eyes of others? Pudet Ning Fan suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest and coughed out blood. He withdrew his mind from the rain, and his eyes gradually regained their clarity. The reason why he coughed out blood was because what he had comprehended was far beyond his cultivation realm. It was not something that he could see through with his current strength. In order to know the original appearance of the world, one would need to comprehend the true Tao that belonged to himself. This was the diligent pursuit of those immortals. This foolish younger brother actually wants to comprehend the true Tao from a drop of rain. What a terrifying comprehension ability! If it wasn't because his cultivation realm was too low, I'm afraid he would have obtained great benefits from this comprehension. I wonder if he would be able to comprehend the true Tao when his cultivation realm is sufficient in the future. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu clicked her tongue and sighed. She was once again surprised by Ningfan. Ningfan spread his hands and let the raindrops fall on his palm without lingering on it. The great Tao contained in the raindrops was not something that he could comprehend with his current strength. Going too far is as bad as not going far enough. If he tries to comprehend the Tao forcefully, he would only end up destroying himself. The mouthful of blood that he coughed out was a warning. Sure enough, the matter of cultivation could only be done step by step. Let's go and take a look at the entrance of the 8th region. Ningfan stepped across the ruins of the battlefield in the 7th region and walked forward in the evening rain. After walking for an unknown period of time, Ningfan stopped and stood at the end of the 7th region. The first 7 regions of the Demon Sinister Forest were separated by ghosts. However, the 7th region and the 8th region were separated by the realm-breaking light. On the path to the 8th region, there were layers of dazzling aurora lights that looked like giant mirrors blocking the path. Ningfan patted his storage pouch and took out a mortal void magic treasure and threw it towards the aurora lights. The moment it touched the aurora lights, it immediately turned into ashes and dissipated. Ningfan frowned. The aurora lights were extremely terrifying. Even void fragmentation realm experts and immortal void magic treasures would be turned into ashes. As long as the realm-breaking light existed, Ningfan would not be able to enter the 8th region no matter what. Unfortunately, the 8th region and the 9th region of the Demon Sinister Forest were located in the ancient Heavenly Court. Forget it. So what if I enter the ancient Heavenly Court in advance? With my current cultivation realm, there must be a lot of dangers in the ancient Heavenly Court. There's no need to rush. The matter of cultivation must be done step by step. I mustn't be greedy. The Tao comprehension that he had in the rain today had greatly improved his mental state. It's almost time for me to go. Concocting the true young pill for Little Black isn't something that can be done overnight. I still lack a few types of spiritual herbs. I probably need to leave the Demon Sinister Forest to purchase more spiritual herbs. I've been out for half a month. It's time for me to go back and tell them that I'm safe. Then, I'll go to the Dark Sparrow's grave and see if I can bring Treant Min Luo out of the grave. Although I have a way to bring Little Black and Little Liang out of the grave, I don't have the confidence to do so for the time being. I can only bring out his clone at most. Let's go and have a look first. Ningfan returned to the Yellow Spring Demon City. It was better for him to bid farewell to Mei Chun and Mu Xiaoyang for the time being. In the Merit Palace of Sinister Sparrow Sect, the elder who was guarding the palace, Meng Chu, was dumbfounded. Beside him, the former sect master of Sinister Sparrow Sect, revealed a bitter smile. His cultivation base was already at the half-step nascent soul realm. He only needed a long seclusion before he could officially form his nascent soul. As soon as he came out of seclusion, he encountered something that made him not know whether to laugh or cry. In the Merit Palace, Ningfan's contribution points had been rising at an incredible speed. Eventually, it exceeded the upper limit of the Merit Steel and shattered it. What earth-shattering thing did that brat do in the Demon Sinister Forest this time? Could it be that he killed a void fragmentation ghost in the 7th region of the forest? Otherwise, how could his contribution points exceed the upper limit? Sinister Sparrow shook his head with a smile. He was just joking. He didn't think that Ningfan had the strength to kill a void fragmentation ghost because it would be too unbelievable. Unfortunately, the truth was always unexpected. When he found out the truth of the Demon Sinister Forest, it was already many years later. He couldn't imagine that a void glimpse stage cultivator could kill Bone Sovereign. Chapter 534. He left the low-grade 7th Revolution medicine for Mei Chun. He returned to 7 Apricot City and brought Bright Sparrow with him to Sinister Sparrow Sect's Dark Sparrow's grave. When little Ming Ke left the Dark Sparrow's grave without permission, the Mingluo Treant must have been very anxious. Ming Ke must have missed Elder Ming Luo a lot after not seeing him for so many years. The two of them came to Sinister Sparrow Sect's Earth Origin Palace, but they didn't use the Earth Origin Palace's teleportation array like they did in the past. Ning Fan directly held Ming Kei's slender waist and used his earth escape technique to dive 100 zhang underground. The weight of 100,000 zhang was enough to crush a gold core realm cultivator to death, but it was nothing to Ning Fan. Both of them appeared in the first level of the Dark Sparrow's grave. It was gloomy and rainy, just like in the past. The rain in the first level of Dark Sparrow's grave carried the chill of spring. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with nostalgia. He held the blood-red umbrella and accompanied Ming Kei in the spring rain. As for Ming Kei, her face was filled with worry. She was gnawing on a 5th revolution pill, while looking at Ning Fan pleadingly. "Biscuit brother, that year, I left Dark Sparrow's grave without saying goodbye. Grandpa must be very worried and angry. When you see Grandpa later, please put in a good word for me. Don't let Grandpa spank my butt." "Silly girl, your grandfather may seem cold and strict, but he treats you extremely well. When he saw you return safely, he was overjoyed. How could he bear to beat you? He's your grandpa, your relative. Really? Elder really won't hit me." A trace of demonic black radiance flashed across Bright Sparrow's pitch-black eyes, and she immediately cheered up. A trace of Void Inquiry stage aura force was actually emitting from his every move. During the half a month that Ning Fan had entered the Demon Sinister Forest, Ming Kei had actually consumed all the pills she had and broken through to the Void Inquiry stage. When he returned to 7 Apricot City and saw little Ming Kei who had just broken through to the Void Inquiry stage, Ning Fan was left speechless. It has only been less than a year since she broke through to the Void Glimpse stage, and now, she has already broken through to the Void Inquiry stage. Isn't her cultivation speed a little too shocking? However, when he thought about it carefully, it was reasonable for the little girl to break through to the Void Inquiry stage so quickly. Ning Fan was the one who personally sealed the void poison in Ming Kei's body 40 years ago. That was the poison of the primordial underworld sparrow's tail wing, which contained a rare large amount of underworld magic power. The magic power contained within the void poison was equivalent to the total magic power of a spatial tempering cultivator. Before breaking through to the Void Glimpse stage, Ming Kei did not refine the magic power of the void poison. However, after breaking through to the Void Glimpse stage, Ming Kei continued to consume 5th revolution pills while refining the dark demon power. Her magic power had more than doubled within a year, allowing her to break through to the Void Inquiry stage in one go. Little Pill Devil was indeed very heaven-defying, but the void poison had already been completely refined by her, so there would no longer be such a terrifying leveling speed. If he wanted to break through to the Void Pierce stage, he could only consume 6th revolution pills. "Brother Biscuit, I miss Grandpa. I miss Rain Baby, I miss Wolf Baby, I miss Medicine Baby." Ming Kei chirped happily. Ning Fan just listened to her with a smile, and walked towards the lower level. In the 2nd level of Dark Sparrow's grave, Xiaoyu. There was no rain in the 3rd level of Dark Sparrow's grave. It was autumn rain in the 4th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. In the 5th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, there was an icy rain. Ning Fan stood in the 5th level of the Dark Sparrow's grave for a long time. The pit of earth fire where he concocted pills for Ming Kei in the past was still there. He still remembered the words of enlightenment he had heard in the past. "What is rain? With a flip of my hand, I can summon clouds and rain with a flip of my hand." The divine transformation realm demonic beasts who had mocked him in the past all prostrated themselves on the ground when they saw him, not daring to look at him. In their eyes, the white-robed young man who was holding the blood umbrella was too dangerous. He was strong enough to easily slaughter all the demonic beasts in the 5th level. These ferocious beasts would never imagine that the white-robed fiend in front of them was a mere harmonious spirit realm cultivator 40 years ago. "Brother Biscuit, they looked down on you in the past. Do you want me to teach them a lesson?" Ming Kei revealed her cute little canine teeth. She straightened her golden crown and waved her fists, looking like she wanted to fight these ferocious beasts. "The past is over. Let's go to the 6th level." Ning Fan gently held Ming Kei's pink and tender palm in his hand to prevent her from running around and causing trouble. Holding the blood umbrella, he walked through the icy rain. The coldness was no longer bone-piercing. It could only give Ning Fan a faint chill. That was all. The 6th level of the Dark Sparrow's grave. Rain of Swords. Kill with your mind. Turn your killing into swords. Turn your swords into rain. Kill with rain. This reign was the reign of slaughter. However, its killing intent could no longer affect Ning Fan's state of mind. Ning Fan walked on the 6th level of the Dark Sparrow's grave. His spirit sense spread to 200,000 li and his brows gradually furrowed. It was strange. Very strange. There weren't as many Void Refinement Realm ferocious beasts in the 6th level. In the past, there were at least 100 Void Refinement Realm ferocious beasts in this place. Now there were only 5 or 6 of them left. They seemed to have yet to recover from their severe injuries. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, they immediately shivered. The mountains and rivers in the surroundings were filled with traces of battles and collapses. Huh? There should be a lot of demon babies in the 6th level in the past. Why are there only a few of them now? Even Ming Ke could see the abnormality. Ning Fan frowned. He spread out his spirit sense to check the remaining chi of magic power in this place. The chi of the expert who destroyed the mountains and rivers here was very familiar. So that's how it is. He was the one who killed a large number of Void Refinement Realm ferocious beasts in this place. Let's go to the 7th level and have a look. Ning Fan seemed to have guessed it. He directly led Ming Ke to the 7th level of the grave. 40 years ago, there were 6 Void Fragmentation Realm and 2nd Heavenly Layer demonic beasts in the 7th level. Today none of them were left. The thunderstorm in the 7th level was still as violent as before. It still contained Kei Shenxi's comprehension. Thunder from the flat ground, rain from the sky, and I want to kill. However, the mountains and rivers within 1,000,000 li were all flattened. The landscape was no longer the same as before. Ning Fan spread out his spirit sense and found 6 traces of extremely dense baleful chi in the 7th level. Each of them was left behind by a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. Although Ning Fan had guessed who killed these ferocious beasts, he was still deeply shocked. The 6 Void Fragmentation Realm ferocious beasts in the 7th level were all killed by that person. Huh. The 6 Void Fragmentation Realm demon babies of the 7th level are all gone. Ming Ke said in astonishment. They are all dead. They were killed by someone. Ning Fan said indifferently. How could this be? All of the 6 demon babies here were at the Void Fragmentation Realm. Who could be so powerful to kill all of them? It's too scary. Ming Ke's mouth was agape. Let's go to the 8th level and have a look. The 8th level of the grave, the heaven-defying rain. Ning Fan and Ming Ke stepped into the 8th level. When they saw the desolated land and sensed the remnant baleful chi, they immediately sighed. There's no need to look anymore. All the Void Fragmentation Realm demonic beasts in the 8th level are dead. In the past, there were 3 Void Fragmentation experts in the 8th level, 2 at the 3rd level and 1 at the 4th level. All of them had attacked Ning Fan. Now there were only 3 traces of baleful chi left by the Void Fragmentation experts in the 8th level. Without a doubt, all the Void Fragmentation experts including the snake-scaled old man were dead. So many Void Fragmentation Realm demon babies are dead. Would Grandpa be in danger? Who is it? Who entered the grave and killed so many Void Fragmentation Realm demon babies? I want to find Grandpa. I'm so worried. Grandpa must not die. Ming Ke was so anxious that she almost cried. Ning Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He patted Ming Ke's head and comforted her. Silly girl, can't you see it? The one who killed all the way from the 6th level to the 8th level is your Grandpa Ming Luo. Other than him, who else in the Rain world could be so powerful to kill all the 9 Void Fragmentation Realm demonic beasts in the grave? Is that so? Does that mean Grandpa is safe and sound? That scared me to death. I thought something happened to Grandpa. Ming Ke patted her chest cutely and resumed her smiling expression. Even experts like the Rain Sovereign and Yin Tianjue would not be able to eliminate all 9 Void Fragmentation Realm beasts in the Dark Sparrow's grave. The fact that Ming Luo Treant was able to kill 9 Void Fragmentation Realm experts on his own showed that his cultivation base was unimaginably high. Among the 9 Void Fragmentation Realm ferocious beasts, the one with the highest cultivation base was at the 4th layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. However, all of them died in the hands of Ming Luo. He remembered that Ming Luo had a total of 100,000 Divine Transformation Realm clones in the past. The demonic power of 100,000 clones combined to form a single clone. That clone's cultivation base was as high as the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Just his clone alone already had a cultivation base of the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. How high exactly was the cultivation base of Ming Luo Trent's main body? In the past, Ning Fan had never thought about this question. Now he was rather interested to know about it. He and Bright Sparrow walked to the entrance of the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. Over there was a short and small old man standing like a tree stump. His zombie-like face was gloomy as he glared at Bright Sparrow furiously. There was a trace of joy hidden deep in his muddy old eyes, but he deliberately reprimanded her fiercely. Humph. Damned girl. Do you know how much I've been worried about you for the past 40 years? This short and small old man was the clone of Ming Luo Trent. He emitted the aura force of the 5th heavenly layer of void fragmentation realm. As soon as he reprimanded him coldly, Bright Sparrow immediately felt a lump in her throat. She sat on the ground and cried. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Bright Sparrow knows her mistake. Bright Sparrow won't dare to do it again. When Bright Sparrow cried, the short and small old man immediately showed a distressed expression. He approached her and blamed himself endlessly. He had actually scolded the innocent and cute little Bright Sparrow to tears. It was a mistake. It was a huge mistake. Grandpa, it's not good. I shouldn't have scolded you. Bright Sparrow, don't cry. The short and small old man was at a loss of what to do. He didn't know how to coax Bright Sparrow. Give me a lot of medicinal herbs and I won't cry anymore. Bright Sparrow sobbed pitifully. There was a trace of slyness hidden in her eyes. This slyness could fool Ming Luo, who was confused because of his concern, but it couldn't fool Ning Fan. Ning Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This time, Bright Sparrow secretly went to the endless sea and learned to pretend to cry. In order to stop Bright Sparrow from crying, the short and small old man naturally agreed to all her requests. All right. I'll give you as many spiritual herbs as you want. Please don't cry, my little ancestor. Don't hurt your body from crying. Bright Sparrow was a void inquiry stage cultivator. Would she hurt her body from crying? Ming Luo really spoiled her too much. Ning Fan shook his head. He grabbed little Bright Sparrow's collar and pulled her up from the ground. You're not allowed to cry anymore. If you cry again, I won't concoct pills for you anymore. I won't cry anymore. I won't cry anymore. Bright Sparrow rubbed her small face on Ning Fan's sleeve and wiped away her snot and tears. Then her tears turned into a smile. Ming Luo was startled. His mind was already as sharp as a human's. He was confused because he was too concerned about the previous incident. At this moment, he immediately realized that he was fooled by Bright Sparrow's fake crying. He really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, seeing that Bright Sparrow was safe and sound, he was happier than anything else. Naturally, he couldn't reprimand her with a stern face anymore. After carefully checking Bright Sparrow's cultivation base, Ming Luo's expression immediately changed. It has only been 40 years and the void poison in your body has actually been completely refined. Moreover, your cultivation base has actually reached the void inquiry stage. This is really. Even a super expert like Ming Luo was shocked by Bright Sparrow's terrifying cultivation speed. The reason why I can quickly improve my cultivation base and refine the void poison is all thanks to Brother Biscuit, who gave me a lot of delicious pill biscuits. Bright Sparrow pulled Ning Fan's dirty sleeve with an incomparably intimate expression. Ming Luo was startled again. Only then did he carefully look at Ning Fan. It's you. Ning Fan was speechless. How weak did he have to be to make Ming Luo directly ignore him and only notice him now? You have actually broken through to the void glimpse stage. Ming Luo was shocked again. The little girl Bright Sparrow had the pill devil physique and the bloodline of the immemorial Dark Sparrow royal clan. It was understandable that her cultivation base could improve so quickly. However, according to Ming Luo's observation in the past, Ning Fan definitely didn't have any special physique. Even though he cultivated the immemorial devil technique, it was only the yin-yang transformation which was a dual cultivation devil technique. It wasn't the best fiend god cultivation method. It had only been 40 years and Ning Fan's cultivation base had actually advanced to the void refinement realm. This was even more shocking to Ming Luo than Bright Sparrow's void refinement realm. After 40 years, this was the first time Ming Luo looked at Ning Fan from the perspective of cultivation. He carefully looked at Ning Fan and felt an extremely terrifying baleful qi from Ning Fan's body. Immediately his old eyes trembled. The horror of that baleful qi could only be left behind by a fifth heavenly layer void fragmentation expert. Other than the void fragmentation baleful qi, the amount of baleful qi in Ning Fan's body was enough to show how many blood seas he had gone through in these 40 years. It's definitely not a coincidence that this young man could break through to the void refinement realm at the age of 500. This young man's innate talent isn't the best, but I'm afraid some of the void fragmentation devils in the tree world can't be compared to him. Ming Luo straightened his expression and suddenly cupped his fists at Ning Fan. This little girl Bright Sparrow is insensible and ran out of the Dark Sparrow's grave. Thank you for bringing her back safely. I, Ming Luo, owe you another favor. If you have any difficulties that you need help with, just say it. This old man will certainly do his best to help you. Ning Fan smiled faintly. Things were smoother than he had imagined. Before he opened his mouth, Ming Luo had already consciously promised to help him return the favor. Ning Fan cupped his fists and returned the greeting. He didn't mention the matter of helping Ming Luo first. Instead he asked, "May I ask, Senior, were the void fragmentation realm beasts of the 6th, 7th and 8th levels killed by Senior?" Yes. Little Shiji and the others of the 8th level had attacked Bright Sparrow in the past. This old man naturally couldn't let them go, so I killed all of them. As for the other few levels, cough cough cough, they were unlucky. Bright Sparrow secretly left the Dark Sparrow's grave. This old man was worried and upset all day long. However, they still had to scream and make me angry. There was no need to say the rest of the words. Obviously, Ming Luo was in a bad mood because of Bright Sparrow's departure. That was why he killed all the void fragmentation realm beasts to vent his anger. What a tyrannical Ming Luo tree spirit. He only treated Bright Sparrow well, but was so cruel to others. Fortunately, Ning Fan and Bright Sparrow had a deep friendship. Ming Luo was a friend and not an enemy. If Ming Luo was in a bad mood in the future, he wouldn't find Ning Fan to vent his anger. Junior still has a question. What realm has Senior's true body reached? Ning Fan asked again. You want to know? Ming Luo's old face squeezed out a trace of an ugly smile. There was a trace of pride in his old eyes, but the answer he gave Ning Fan was shocked. This old man's true body is a loose demon's cultivation base. Rogue demon. Ning Fan's eyes were shocked. The true body of this wretched and short old man was actually a rogue demon expert. Rogue demon, rogue immortal, rogue devil. Such a person was already standing at the peak of the void fragmentation realm. There was no one in the lower 3 realms who could reach such a level. The 9 realms were divided into the upper 3 realms, the middle 3 realms and the lower 3 realms. The upper 3 realms were the Devil Realm, Demon Realm and Heaven Immortal Realm. They were the 3 strongest realms in the 9 realms. There were also rogue immortal old monsters guarding them. The middle 3 realms were the Earth Immortal Realm, Mountain Realm and Fire Realm. Although there were no rogue immortals guarding them, the strength of the cultivators in the inner realms was incomparable to the Rain World. The lower 3 realms were the Tree Realm, Sword Realm and Rain Realm. Both the Tree Realm and Sword Realm were stronger than the Rain World, and the Rain World was the weakest. Ming Luo Tree Demon was born in the Tree Realm, but he had cultivated to become a rogue demon. This was indeed somewhat shocking. Unfortunately, Ming Luo couldn't leave the Dark Sparrow's grave. If he could, he only needed to help Ning Fan once, which was more than enough to kill Moksha Sovereign. Ning Fan sighed in his heart. He couldn't bring Ming Luo's true body to the Dark Sparrow's grave this time. At most, he could bring his 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation clone out of the grave. Even if he could bring it out, Ming Luo's clone must take root in Yu country, and couldn't leave the radius of 50 million li of Yu country. The role of Ming Luo's clone was at most to guard the house and protect Yu country. Junior has a way to bring Senior's clone out of the grave. I wonder if Senior is willing to let the clone leave the grave and see the scenery outside? Oh, do you have such an ability? Ming Luo was startled at first. Then he gave Ning Fan a meaningful glance and said with a smile, Brat, do you have something to ask this old man for help? That's right. Junior does have a way to let Senior's clone leave the grave, but it can't leave the radius of 50 million li of Yu country. Junior also has something to ask of Senior. My family members are all in Yu country. I hope that Senior can protect them when I'm not around. With Senior's presence, I'm afraid that even the divine king of the rain world wouldn't be able to hurt my close relatives, Ning Fan said earnestly. The divine king of the rain world? Who does he think he is? My true body can eliminate him in 2 or 3 moves. But you are a little too greedy. This old man has promised you a favor, but you want me, a dignified rogue demon, to guard your house? This old man is not going to help you. Ming Luo waved his hand, refusing to help Ning Fan. Bright Sparrow is also one of my family members. She will also live in Yu country and might encounter danger. What he meant was that even if you don't guard someone else's house, you should be willing to guard Bright Sparrow's door, right? Sure enough, after hearing that Bright Sparrow might be in danger, Ming Luo's eyes hesitated. After pondering for a moment, he glared at Ning Fan and said, Fine. For the sake of Bright Sparrow, I will help you protect that annoying Yu country. But this old man still wants to ask, do you really have a way to let my clone leave the grave and get some fresh air outside? Of course. Good. If you can really do it, this old man will help you guard Yu country. Just treat it as going out to relax. Why not? Ming Luo laughed heartily. How many years had it been since he left the grave? By the way, Junior has a question to ask Senior. Do you still have the flesh and blood of those void fragmentation beasts that Senior has killed? Ning Fan suddenly asked. Of course I do. Those are 9 void fragmentation beasts. Their flesh and demon cores are all good stuff. Eh? You want their corpses? Yes. Ning Fan didn't pretend and said bluntly. Oh, this old man is very curious. What do you want these corpses for? Brewing wine and concocting pills. Ning Fan's eyes lit up. If he could brew wine with the blood and flesh of these 9 void fragmentation beasts and concoct fierce cultivation pills, his magical force and spirit sense would certainly skyrocket. This old man has heard of concocting pills, but brewing wine? This old man has never heard of anyone using the blood of void fragmentation beasts to brew wine. I'm sorry, this old man didn't say that I would give these corpses to you. This old man is also a demon. Consuming their corpses can improve my cultivation base. Before Ming Luo could finish his words, Bright Sparrow suddenly pulled Ming Luo's sleeve. Her eyes looked as if they could shoot out innocent little stars and pleaded. Grandpa, good grandpa, Brother Biscuit treats me very well. Can you just give him those corpses? If he uses those corpses to concoct pills, I can also eat them to improve my magical force. Don't you think so? If you don't give those corpses to Brother Biscuit, it means that you don't love Bright Sparrow anymore. Under the attack of Bright Sparrow's eyes, Ming Luo sighed helplessly. All right. Give all those corpses to your Brother Biscuit. This old man doesn't want any of them. This should be fine, right? A girl's heart is always on the outside. Chapter 535. No one knew how long the true body of the Minluo Treant had been trapped in the Dark Sparrow's grave. He was just a void fragmentation realm demon cultivator. His lifespan should have come to an end a long time ago. Fortunately, the Mingluo Dryad had created a heaven-defying method to transform his body into a tree. He had completely cultivated into a tree, and lost the possibility of turning back into a human. Ming Luo extracted his demon soul and cultivated countless incarnations, using them to move around in Dark Sparrow's grave. Because his main body had degenerated into a tree, his divine abilities were greatly reduced, but his lifespan wasn't evergreen. After enduring for a long time, he could still advance through growth. As time passed, Treant Minluo's cultivation increased day by day. Eventually, his true body grew to the level of an independent demon. Although his true form was a rogue demon, he was a rogue demon that couldn't move or transform. His roots were rooted in Dark Sparrow's grave, and he would never be able to leave it. If he burned his demon soul and risked his life to escape, Ming Luo would be able to leave the Dark Sparrow's grave in a very short period of time. But he would certainly turn into ashes after that. There might be a way for Ming Luo to turn back into a demon tree and leave the Dark Sparrow's grave, but unfortunately, Ning Fan didn't know about it. The heavenly Tao was fair. The Mingluo treant had survived countless years with his tree body, so the chance of him transforming into a demon again was naturally slim. The only thing he could do was to bring the clone of Mingluo treant out of the grave. This was an imitation of Bone Sovereign's method. Bone Sovereign had cultivated his true soul incarnation, but his main body couldn't leave the demon's sinister forest. Hence, he used his true soul incarnation to sneak out. Ningfan followed suit. He only needed to concoct some low-grade 6th Revolution True Soul pills for Ming Luo to help him condense a True Soul clone in the shortest time possible. Ming Luo Trent's True Soul was different from Bone Sovereign's. Bone Sovereign's true body was unharmed while his True Soul could move freely in the outside world after leaving the demon's sinister forest. Ming Luo's main body, on the other hand, had degenerated into a tree. His clone could not be too far away from his main body. Otherwise, it would be like a fallen leaf that would never be able to return to the branch and could only wither and die. Ming Luo's true soul doppelganger could only move within the radius of 50 million miles of Yu country. In the Dark Sparrow's grave, Ning Fan told Ming Luo all the plans and both of them made an agreement. After that, Ning Fan took the 9 void fragmentation realm beast corpses from Ming Luo's hands, as well as a large number of spiritual herbs that were 10,000 years and above. Then he bid farewell and left. He did not take Bright Sparrow away immediately. Ming Ke and Min Luo treant had been separated for many years. Now that they were reunited, they would definitely have a lot of things to talk about. Jing Jing returned to 7 Apricot City alone. Seeing the changes in 7 Apricot City, Ning Fan gradually relaxed. The people of the 7 Apricot 4 clans were organized into the 7 Apricot branch temples by Su Yan and Yu Lingkong. It was divided into the Refining Hall, Alchemy Hall, Physique Cultivation Hall, Sword Cultivation Hall, Demonic Cultivation Hall. The 3 Black Demon armies became the Black Demon Hall. Sinister Sparrow sect submitted to 7 Apricot City and became Sinister Sparrow Palace. The Fire Cloud sect submitted to 7 Apricot City and became the Fire Cloud Hall. All the major sects were still in their old locations. It should be said that the current Yu country after the merger was the sphere of influence of 7 Apricot City. Ning Fan did not ask about the matters related to the development of his forces. Instead, he let his women be in charge of it. He trusted them very much. In the Cauldron world, the Ning family's female guard was also building the interface like wildfire. Everyone had their own things to do. Of course, there were also a few extremely bored women who passed their days leisurely. For example, Ji He Mu Xiaohuan by Su, Feng Shui and Ning Fan stood in the middle of the snowy 7 Apricot City. Looking back at the mortal world, he felt as if he was in a dream. He could finally have some peace and stay in 7 Apricot City for a period of time. There were no battles or battles. There was only peace and tranquility. Starting from the Void Refinement realm, the advancement of each level is extremely difficult. An ordinary Void Glimpse stage cultivator would need at least 1,000 years to break through to the Void Inquiry stage. Those with slightly inferior innate talents might need several thousand years. Those with slightly inferior Dao comprehension might not be able to attain the Void Inquiry stage in their entire lives. I want 10 years to reach the Void Inquiry stage. Ning Fan held the blood wine gourd in his hand. 10 years was the time needed for the blood wine to be brewed. He placed the blood essence of the 9 void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts into the Xianwei blood gourd. 10 years later, when the blood wine is brewed, all of this blood wine would be a great help to Ning Fan's breakthrough to the Void Inquiry stage. It will take 10 years for the wine to be brewed. During these 10 years, I still have many things to do. For example, improving my cultivation method, improving my spirit sense, and also preparing to resist the Void Inquiry stage heavenly tribulation. Before that, I must first concoct the True Yang pill and True Soul pill and bring Xiaohei and the Ming Luo tree spirit back to 7 Apricot City. Ning Fan began to concoct the True Yang pill and True Soul pill. Both of them were low-grade 6th Revolution pills. It was not easy for Ning Fan to concoct them. During the day, Ning Fan went into the Dark Golden Pagoda to concoct 2 types of pills. When night fell, he returned to 7 Apricot City to rest and accompany the girls for a good night. After a month, Ning Fan had concocted 2 True Yang pills and 20 True Soul pills. Then he returned to the demon's sinister forest and the dark sparrow's grave. 10 days later, when he returned to 7 Apricot City, he brought back 2 people and a sable. Ming Luo's true soul avatar had the cultivation base of the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He promised Ning Fan to protect 7 Apricot City, but he did not like the clamor of 7 Apricot City. Thus, he stayed alone in a barren mountain 1,000 li away. Mu Xiaoyang was one of the 3 souls of Mu Weiliang. Soon, she became good sisters with Ji He and Mu Xiaohuan. They were as close as sisters. From then on, Mu Xiaoyang joined 7 Apricot City's casual eating and drinking team. The 3 souls had been found, and all that was left was Mu Weiliang's 7 spirits. Mei Chen did not appear in her human form. Instead, she stayed in 7 Apricot City as a small sable. She would stay in Ning Fan's empty room during the day. When Ning Fan returned at night, she would leave angrily. She did not want to meet Ning Fan face to face, as if she was still in a fit of pique. Others only thought that the small sable was Ning Fan's demon pet. Only Su Yan and a few other girls knew Mei Chen's true identity. She was a void fragmentation realm demon cultivator. Ever since 7 Apricot City had the protection of Mei Chen and Ming Luo, Ning Fan felt more at ease and gradually got used to the life in 7 Apricot City. His heart gradually calmed down. This kind of calmness was something that he had never felt before when he stepped into the bloody sea of cultivation. He stayed in 7 Apricot City for 10 years. 10 years of silence, 10 years of peace, 10 years of tranquility, and 10 years of companionship. He had not killed a single person for 10 years. He had almost forgotten that he was once a devil lord that rampaged across the rain world. Every day, Ning Fan would only spend half a day cultivating and concocting pills. The other half of the day would be spent in meditation. Occasionally, he would disappear for a few days to half a month, burying his head in the pagoda to cultivate. Sometimes he would stay in 7 Apricot City for more than 10 days in a row. 10 years had passed in the outside world, and half of the time in the pagoda had been spent. Ning Fan had cultivated in the 7th floor of the dark golden pagoda for more than 400 years. During the time he spent cultivating in the pagoda, Ning Fan resumed his cultivation of the Black Devil art as a fire elemental cultivation method. At the same time, he carefully cultivated the cultivation method of the Divine Sovereign of the Rain World, the Sovereign Rain Primordial art as an ice elemental cultivation method. He concocted the void-consuming pill to consume the void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. However, he did not consume it immediately. Instead, he waited for the blood wine to be brewed before consuming it. He used the flesh and blood of 9 void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts to concoct fierce cultivation pills. However, the gigantic bodies of the 9 ferocious beasts were only enough to concoct 9 fierce cultivation pills. Ning Fan also used the corpses of the realm beasts to concoct the 10th fierce cultivation pill. The quality of this 10th fierce cultivation pill was obviously 10 times better than the previous 9 pills. After all, the energy contained in the flesh and blood of the realm beasts was far beyond that of the void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts. He consumed 10 fierce cultivation pills in succession, and began to concoct pills to eat the sense beads of void refinement realm and void fragmentation realm ghosts. Ning Fan's spirit sense was improving day by day. However, no one knew exactly what level his spirit sense had reached. It was the 3rd year that Ning Fan stayed in 7 Apricot City. A vast spirit sense quietly swept across the 400,000 li radius of 7 Apricot City. In the entire Yu country, other than Mei Chen and Ming Luo, no one else noticed this divine sense sweep past. Grand Void Grade Spirit Sense. This young man's cultivation base is just at the Void Glimpse stage, but his spirit sense has actually improved to such a level. In the desolate mountain, Ming Luo's eyes were filled with shock. After the improvement of his spirit sense was completed and his cultivation method had also reached a bottleneck, Ning Fan began to concoct True Void Pill, Wondrous Sound Pill and other 6th Revolution pills that could increase his magic power. He had obtained a large amount of spirit herbs from the demon's sinister forest and the dark sparrow's grave, enough for him to squander for 10 years. He would refine Dan in the day and return to 7 Apricot City to rest at night. Time passed day by day. His FA increased bit by bit, and his alchemy skills also improved bit by bit. His medicine soul was extremely strong to begin with, and it was not far from the mid-grade 6th revolution medicine soul. In the 7th year of the outside world, a vast medicine soul power suddenly appeared in 7 Apricot City. In a barren mountain thousands of miles away, the Minluo Treant was shocked once again. Mid-6th revolution pill refinement technique. This young man's bone age is still young, but his alchemy skills have already reached such a high level. After spending more than 400 years in the tower, Ningfan had almost used up all the 50,000 years and 100,000 years old spiritual herbs he had. After concocting a void inquiry pill that could increase his void inquiry stage comprehension, he no longer concocted any other pills. For the remaining time, he no longer entered the tower. Instead, he stayed in 7 Apricot City and Yu Country. He picked up the Tao of Formations and began to make mortal void realm formation discs. All of these discs were grand defensive formations prepared for transcending the void inquiry stage heavenly tribulation. He refined the star positioning plate again and integrated many formations into it. It was also to prepare for transcending the heavenly tribulation. Ningfan knew that he had completely offended the heavenly Tao. The heavenly tribulation this time would be extremely terrifying. He would not find it strange even if a void fragmentation realm heavenly tribulation befalls him. In the last 3 years, Ningfan used a large number of Tao crystals to make 100 mortal void grand formation discs. There were only 2,000 Tao crystals left, which was equivalent to 10 billion immortal jade. When these 100 discs were activated at the same time, the formation light that they emitted was extremely terrifying. Even an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would not be able to break the formation light in a short period of time. Ningfan distributed the powerful magic treasures that he had obtained from killing for many years to the ladies, leaving only a majority of the magic treasures that were slightly inferior. He was prepared to discard all of them in order to transcend the heavenly tribulation. Time passed day by day. 10 years had passed, and the blood wine was brewed. For 10 whole years, Ningfan lived a peaceful life in the snow of 7 Apricot City. For 10 whole years, Ningfan's hands were not stained with blood, and he did not kill a single person. 10 years of preparation was just to break through to the void inquiry stage. After the blood wine was brewed, Ningfan gave his ladies some instructions and left 7 Apricot City alone. He did not want to repeat Old Devil's mistake. He would not transcend the heavenly tribulation in 7 Apricot City. Since he knew that the heavenly tribulation this time would be extremely terrifying, he wanted to find a secluded and spacious place to set up 100 layers of void rank grand formations and transcend the heavenly tribulation alone. Ningfan traveled all the way to the south. After passing through more than 10 cultivation countries, he finally arrived at the southern gazing sea of the Rain World. The Endless Sea was located in the extreme east of the Rain World, while the southern gazing sea was located in the extreme south of the Rain World. Yu Country was located in the southeastern continent of the Rain World. To a cultivator at Ningfan's level, it would not take him too much time to travel from Yu Country to these two sea regions. There were not as many cultivators in the southern gazing sea as there were in the Endless Sea. The sea region was extremely vast, but there were rarely any cultivators cultivating there. After Ningfan arrived at the southern gazing sea, he traveled all the way to the south. Eventually, he chose a deserted island with a radius of 1 million li, and set up 100 layers of mortal void grand formations on the island. He sat cross-legged on the peak of a lone mountain on the deserted island, and adjusted his condition. Once he was in his best condition, he would consume the void fragmentation realm Tao fruit, blood wine and void inquiry pill in one go and break through to the void inquiry stage. Tens of millions of li away from the deserted island, there was a gloomy cave residence that was filled with piles of white bones on a certain island. Inside the cave residence, 3 scantily clad female cultivators were surrounding a crystal ball magic treasure, peeking at the scene that was tens of millions of li away. If there were void refinement cultivators who had lived in the southern gazing sea for a long time, they would definitely recognize who these 3 female cultivators were at first glance and would definitely not dare to provoke them. These 3 female cultivators were the infamous 3 fairies Feng Yuan of the southern gazing sea. They were all demonic women with the demonic bloodline of the Phoenix clan. And they were the 3 overlords of the southern gazing sea. The Yao arts that the 3 females cultivated were extremely vicious. They needed to eat large numbers of males to increase their cultivation. Among the 3 women, one of them was at the absolute void stage while the other 2 were at the void pierce stage. Even though the demon power of the 3 women was weak due to eating humans repeatedly, their strength was still not to be underestimated. When the 3 of them joined forces, they had once killed a few void refinement realm experts of the Rain world. Later on, the 3 women were ordered by the Rain Palace not to leave the Southern Ocean Sea for the rest of their lives. They were only allowed to kill within the Southern Ocean Sea. Because of the 3 immortals who liked to eat men, few cultivators were willing to come to the Southern Gazing Sea to cultivate. The 3 immortals had not tasted the flesh of a void refinement realm male for many years. This white-robed man looks quite handsome. If the 3 of us can capture him, we can pluck his flesh first before we eat and kill him. A void pierce stage female demon looked at Ning Fan in the crystal ball and licked her red lips with her fragrant tongue, as if she was looking at a plate of delicious food. Her beautiful eyes flickered with dark green light. We can't. Didn't you see it? The 100 layers of formation light that he set up on the barren island are all at the mortal void realm. Putting aside the fact that he could get his hands on so many mortal void realm formation discs, he must be someone with a strong background. Just the fact that he has the protection of these 100 layers of formation light means that we definitely won't be able to break through the formation light and capture him. Another void pierce stage female demon said worriedly. I'm not afraid. The reason why this person appeared in the Southern Gazing Sea and set up 100 layers of mortal void realm formation light on the barren island is probably because he wants to transcend his tribulation. Heh. This person's cultivation base is just at the void glimpse stage. He is probably going to break through to the void inquiry stage and transcend his tribulation. It's just a void inquiry stage tribulation, but he actually prepared so many formation discs. This is enough to prove that this person is an extremely cowardly person. It also means that his combat power is low. As long as the 3 of us wait for him to complete his tribulation, regardless of whether he succeeds in breaking through to the void inquiry stage or not, he will definitely be severely injured and slack off. When that time comes, we can suddenly launch a sneak attack and capture him without spilling a single drop of blood. Whether he dies or cuts into pieces, isn't it all up to us? As soon as the female demon of the absolute void realm said that, her eyes flashed with dark green demonic light and she licked her lips. She had been living in the Southern Gazing Sea for a long time, and had never stepped into the continent of the Rain world. Thus, she did not know Ning Fan's identity. Even if she knew, she would not be afraid of a void glimpse stage male given her absolute void stage cultivation base. Given her unscrupulous personality, she would not be afraid of any force either. Let's wait for him to transcend his tribulation. The moment he completes his tribulation will be the moment of his death. He's just a void glimpse stage cultivator. The female demon of the absolute void realm sneered coldly. She did not put Ning Fan in her eyes at all. On the summit of a lone mountain on the barren island, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes which glinted with cold light. Interesting. I have only stopped killing for 10 years. And the void refinement realm cultivators in the Rain world have already forgotten about my ferocious name. Ning Fan spread his spirit sense 400,000 li, but he did not discover any human figures within his range. However, he could vaguely feel that he was being spied on. He closed his eyes and carefully sensed his surroundings. He could vaguely sense that the ones who were spying on him were 3 void refinement realm cultivators. When he took a closer look, he realized that the 3 auras were clearly the auras of women. They did not conceal their killing intent towards Ning Fan at all. 3 human cauldrons that came to my doorstep. Huh? That's good. It saves me the trouble of catching human cauldrons. After I successfully transcend my tribulation, I will use the cultivation bases of these 3 women to help me stabilize my void inquiry stage cultivation base. Chapter 536. The void fragmentation realm Dao fruit and the gourd of blood wine were all assimilated into his body. Ning Fan sat alone on the peak of the lone mountain, and sat in a cross-legged position for a whole month. His eyes were tightly shut the entire time. What he was refining was not just the Tao fruit and blood wine, but also the comprehension of the Tao that he had cultivated for many years. Ning Fan's magic power and qi became stronger day by day. However, his body became fainter and fainter, as if he was going to vanish from this world. At the void glimpse stage, the void was nothing but a void. At the void inquiry stage, what you see is not the void. The fainter his body became, the more profound his comprehension of the word void was. After cultivating for 40 years, his bone age would be 900 years old. Many cultivators were still struggling to break through to the nascent soul realm at this bone age, but Ning Fan was already trying to break through to the void inquiry stage. After 1 month, Ning Fan's magic power had already exceeded 8 million units. He had long surpassed the threshold of 3 million units of magic power of the void inquiry stage. However, he still could not break through to the void inquiry stage successfully. He was still a step away from crossing that bottleneck. Looking at the illusion isn't an illusion. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch, took out a void inquiry pill and swallowed it in one go. His figure became fainter and more transparent, as if he was just a mirage. This is unbelievable. This person was merely a void glimpse stage cultivator, but he actually had such a profound understanding of the word void. His body was almost completely turning into the void, turning his physical body into the void. Not many void fragmentation realm experts in the entire Rain Immortal world could achieve this. This kind of divine ability has nothing to do with one's cultivation base. It completely depends on the cultivator's own comprehension of the word void. This kid has such a terrifying comprehension ability. In the demon cave that was tens of millions of li away, the 2 void pierce stage female demons were bewildered. Humph. So what? This young man is just a void glimpse stage expert after all. Even if he succeeds in breaking through to the void inquiry stage, he is just a mere void inquiry stage expert. No matter how high one's comprehension was, it couldn't be used as a method to destroy the enemy. Perhaps one day, after he attains the void pierce stage or absolute void stage by luck, the 3 of us won't be a match for him anymore. However, if he is only at the void glimpse stage or void inquiry stage, he is definitely not a match for the 3 of us. This person will definitely die in our hands. Let's go, it's about time to hunt this person. The female demon of the great void realm let out a disdainful snort. Then she led the other 2 demons to turn into rays of light and left the demon cave, heading straight to the desolate island where Ning Fan was. On the desolate island, Ning Fan's figure was as faint as a shadow. However, his comprehension of the word void was improving bit by bit. He opened his eyes and stared blankly at the quiet void below the spatial barrier. As his figure gradually turned illusory, he seemed to hear the sound of breathing in the endless void. That was the soul of void. He was slightly stunned, and then he raised his hand and pointed with a finger. He shattered the space in the surrounding tens of thousands of kilometers, and then he stretched out his hand and grabbed towards the boundless space. It was just a grab, but he vaguely felt like he was holding something in his hand. Is this the void soul? Soul extraction. At this moment, Ning Fan extracted the void soul that was tens of thousands of li away with his illusory body. If this void soul was fused into his body, his magic power would definitely increase greatly in a short period of time. The art of soul extraction, from the lowest to the highest, were extracting the soul of the earth, the soul of the void, the soul of the sun, the moon, and the soul of the heavenly Tao. In the past, when he was possessed by Lightning Emperor Taisu, he created the soul extraction technique that could extract the 6 Tao souls with the help of his comprehension of the unity of heaven and man. However, this technique was definitely not something that he could display right now. It was also not something that he had comprehended step by step. Today, however, Ning Fan was able to hear the breath of the void soul and extract it. It was obvious that he had already cultivated the soul extracting technique to the 2nd level. Ning Fan reckoned that if he breaks through to the void inquiry stage and uses the void soul extraction technique, he could even obtain void pierce stage magic power for a short period of time with the help of a secret technique. With my understanding of the word void, I can now extract the soul of the void. This is an unexpected surprise. Ning Fan dispersed the void soul in the center of his palm, allowing the hollow space within 10,000 li to heal. Then he closed his eyes again. As he continued to refine the void inquiry pill, his understanding towards the word void grew deeper and deeper. Scenes of the past also appeared in his mind. As an orphan, he was adopted by the Ning clan. As a servant, he was framed. As a mortal, he fell into the devil Dao. As a devil cultivator, he ran amok in the rain world. He still remembered the sorrow of being bullied by countless evil women that night at Mount Lihen. He still remembered the touch of warmth in the snowstorm of 7 Apricot City. He still remembered the loneliness of killing countless people along the way. He also remembered the intertwining of life and death with each and every beauty. The sea of blood in the cultivation world. The gratitude and enmity of the past suddenly felt like a dream. Everything seemed illusory, however, along the way, be it sadness or happiness, all of them were so real to him. Ning Fan opened his eyes indifferently. His eyes were calm but persistent. His mind was wandering between the two words void and reality. Finally, he caught the pathway of the bottleneck of the void inquiry stage. I want the void inquiry stage. All of a sudden, a wave of void inquiry stage aura force surged from his body, sweeping across the area within hundreds of thousands of li of the desolate island. He suddenly stood up and stood at the peak of the lone mountain, his body that had turned incorporeal again. At this moment, his cultivation base had officially broken through to the void inquiry stage. Rumble. Rumble. Rumble.at this moment, countless purple tribulation clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. The purple tribulation clouds were surrounded by terrifying lightning bolts. It stretched across 1 million li of the desolate island. Its aura force was terrifying. Its power was almost comparable to the heavenly tribulation of a void fragmentation realm cultivator. Among the layers of purple lightning clouds, a 10,000 zhong giant wearing purple armor stood coldly. His body was covered with ancient runes, and he was holding an extremely thick lightning chain in his hand. It's actually the purple lightning tribulation clouds. Another Dao Guardian has actually appeared. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu's eyes were filled with astonishment. There were 3 types of heavenly tribulations that cultivators at the first step of cultivation had to go through. The heavenly tribulations that cultivators who had yet to reach the divine transformation realm would go through were all lightning tribulations. After that, it would be fire tribulations. As for void fragmentation realm cultivators, it would be Yin wind tribulations. Normally, the void inquiry stage heavenly tribulations would only be fire tribulations. It would never be any other kind of heavenly tribulations. Normally, it was impossible for Dao Guardians to send tribulations to ordinary cultivators. Only those great devils would be personally killed by the Dao Guardians. Obviously, the heavenly tribulation that Ning Fan was undergoing had already gone beyond common sense. He had been targeted by the heavenly Dao of the lower world. No cultivator had ever experienced a void inquiry stage heavenly tribulation with void fragmentation realm power. Previously, the heavenly Dao of the lower world had sent giant Jihua to send a fire tribulation, but it failed to eliminate Ning Fan. It was as if the heavenly Dao knew that Ning Fan possessed a supreme treasure that could restrain fire. Thus, it no longer sent a fire tribulation, but a purple lightning tribulation instead, intending to eliminate Ning Fan in one go. This kind of lightning tribulation was extremely rare. The purple lightning released by the tribulation clouds could turn into lightning chains that could lock any cultivator below the void fragmentation realm. Even a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator would have a hard time withstanding the lightning chains. What a strong lightning tribulation! Even if I have the Tai Su lightning diagram, it won't be easy for me to transcend it. Ning Fan's expression was unprecedentedly solemn. 10,000 li away from the desolate island, the 3 immortals were quietly lying in ambush, waiting for Ning Fan to finish his tribulation and launch a sneak attack. The 3 of them were initially disdainful towards Ning Fan. However, when they saw the extremely terrifying purple lightning tribulation clouds, all of them were so shocked that they were speechless. When they saw the purple lightning giant standing within the tribulation clouds, All of their faces turned pale with fright. A Tao Guardian. It's actually the heavenly tribulation envoy who personally sent the tribulation to this man. How is this possible? How is this possible? According to the ancient records, only cultivators who have committed heinous crimes will be personally sent by the Tao Guardian. Could it be that this void glimpse stage, no void inquiry stage man has actually committed an extremely terrifying crime? A Tao Guardian at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Scary. This is really too scary. This purple lightning tribulation cloud has covered the sky of 1,000,000 li. The entire island is within the range of the tribulation. The three of us can't get close to the island at all and ambush this person. Otherwise, we will be attacked by the heavenly tribulation together, and we will be turned into ashes in an instant. The three of them were frightened by the terrifying aura of Ning Fan's tribulation. How would they still have the intention to hunt him down? All they wanted to do was to run away as soon as possible to avoid getting involved with him and getting attacked by the heavenly tribulation messengers. Unfortunately, it was already a little too late for them to run away now. A few traces of purple lightning in the air suddenly turned into purple lightning chains, binding the three of them tightly. Even with their cultivation bases, they actually could not break free from these purple lightning chains at all. In just an instant, they had already suffered serious injuries. The purple lightning was eroding their bodies bit by bit. Even though they used all of their demon power to resist the purple lightning, their injuries were still getting worse. Even though their lives were not in danger for the time being, they could not escape from this damned place. If they let their injuries continue to get worse, it would only be a matter of time before they die. The three of them were clearly standing 10,000 li away from the heavenly tribulation. Even so, they were already in such a miserable state after just being affected by the stray lightning tribulation. It was imaginable how dangerous it was for Ning Fan, who was in the center of the lightning tribulation. The purple lightning giant's eyes were cold. It looked down at Ning Fan and abruptly activated the lightning chains and said coldly, "My name is Purple Lightning. Since you have captured Jihua, I will exercise my authority on behalf of the heavenly Tao and kill you. The heavenly Tao will be the shackles and you will be my prisoner." Shackles. The voice of the purple lightning giant was like thunder, and its breath was like a rainstorm, making Ning Fan's eardrums hurt from the vibrations. The giant had only activated a single lightning chain, but the tribulation cloud within 1,000,000 li shot out billions of purple lightning bolts, turning into billions of lightning chains that flew towards Ning Fan. Those lightning chains were formed by lightning. The speed of the lightning was unimaginably fast. It could cover 600,000 li in a single breath. Even an absolute void stage cultivator would find it hard to reach such a speed. Ning Fan also moved at lightning speed. In an instant, he activated the 100 layers of mortal void stage formation light to their maximum. In an instant, billions of purple lightning bolts bombarded the mortal void stage formation light. Boom! More than 40 of the 100 layers of mortal void stage formation light collapsed in an instant. The barren island was almost destroyed. However, it managed to block the purple lightning bolts in the end. The giant's first round of lightning tribulation was blocked by Ning Fan with the formation light. The purple lightning giant was a little surprised. He did not expect Ning Fan to be so well prepared. He actually used so many mortal void stage grand formations to block the heavenly tribulation. He made a grabbing motion with his hand, and the purple lightning bolts in the sky condensed into a lightning chain again. Then he threw the lightning chain into the sky once again. In just a few breaths' time, the second round of lightning tribulation descended. The destructive power of the second round of lightning tribulation was much scarier than the first round. With just a single strike, it destroyed all the remaining formation light. The remaining purple lightning tribulation turned into lightning chains that flew towards Ning Fan at a terrifying speed. Ning Fan looked at the purple lightning chains that filled the sky, and his heart was filled with an endless sense of danger. Once he is bound by the purple lightning chains, it would be extremely difficult for him to escape. This purple lightning giant is bent on killing me. No matter how many times I block the heavenly tribulation, he will still continue to send tribulations. Instead of delaying the battle with him, I might as well end the battle as soon as possible. Ning Fan suddenly stomped on the lonely mountain below his feet. The entire mountain immediately shattered into countless broken rocks. A massive blood-red lightning diagram appeared beneath his feet, absorbing all the purple lightning bolts that were attacking Ning Fan into the lightning diagram. He patted his storage pouch, took out the ancient golden sword and stood on the tip of the sword. Ning Fan waved his hand and tossed out countless immortal crystals. His body turned into a pure golden sword light, and approached the purple lightning giant at lightning speed at a speed comparable to a void fragmentation realm expert. You're courting death. When the purple lightning giant saw Ning Fan daring to rush towards him, his eyes were filled with rage. He was the Tao Guardian, the messenger of the heavenly tribulation, and a void fragmentation realm puppet that wielded authority on behalf of the heavens. In the long river of time, the purple lightning giant had once sent the purple lightning tribulation to several slaughtering devils in the lower 9 worlds. Each and every one of those devils could be considered as peerless and ferocious devils. However, when facing the terrifying purple lightning of the purple lightning giant, they were still fearful. However, Ning Fan was different. There was no trace of fear in his eyes. Instead, there was only strong battle intent. He swore to fight against the heavenly tribulation. This fearless gaze caused the violet lightning giant to be enraged. In his opinion, Ning Fan was simply looking down on the heavenly might. This was unforgivable. Without any hesitation, the purple lightning giant made a grabbing motion and sent the third round of heavenly tribulation towards Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not slow down at all. He dashed towards the purple lightning bolts in the sky without any fear. All of a sudden, he patted his storage pouch and took out a fiery red puppet. The puppet grew in the wind and instantly turned into a flaming giant. As soon as the flaming giant appeared, it received Ning Fan's order and threw a punch at the purple lightning bolts in the sky without hesitation. The destructive power of a void fragmentation realm attack shattered all the purple lightning bolts in the sky. The third round of purple lightning bolts was still blocked. Jihua, how dare you rebel against the heavens? You are a slave of the heavenly Tao in vain. The purple lightning giant yelled furiously. There is only one master. Jihua said with a blank expression. The purple lightning giant would never know that Ning Fan had already used the life imprisonment technique of the ancestral emperor of the northern heaven to erase his spiritual intelligence. He had already become a puppet killer who only obeyed Ning Fan's orders. He would no longer obey any orders from the heavenly Tao of the lower worlds. Giant Jihua shattered layers of tribulation clouds and dashed towards the purple lightning giant, confronting it from afar. Facing giant Jihua, even the purple lightning giant felt a little pressured. In terms of cultivation base, he was slightly weaker than Jihua. At this moment, the purple lightning giant no longer had the intention to send the tribulation to Ning Fan. He had to focus all his attention on confronting Jihua. He no longer had the mood to deal with Ning Fan. As Ning Fan gave the order, giant Jihua waved his fiery fists and attacked the purple lightning giant like a storm. The purple lightning giant also waved his fiery fists and fought against Jihua. The battle between the two void fragmentation realm spiritual puppets shattered the vast sky within 1 million li. The strong wind that was produced blew past the faces of the 3 female demons, causing them to feel pain on their faces. Their eyes were filled with deep fear. Madman. This man is a madman. He actually possesses a void fragmentation realm spiritual puppet, and dares to fight against the messenger of the heavenly tribulation. Isn't he afraid of offending the heavenly Tao? No. Sister, can't you see it? The void fragmentation realm spiritual puppet in that madman's body is another Tao guardian. He has already offended the heavenly Tao of the lower worlds. That's why his void inquiry stage heavenly tribulation is so terrifying. That's why he set up 100 mortal void grand formations to transcend his tribulation. If we knew that this man is such a madman, the 3 of us wouldn't have come to capture him even if we had to die. Now, we are trapped in this place by the purple lightning of the heavenly tribulation. The 3 female demons showed regretful expressions. They hated themselves for coming to this place and getting involved in this mess. The 3 of them wished they could run away immediately. However, They were trapped by the purple lightning and could not move at all. Ningfan stepped on the ancient golden sword and shuttled through the layers of purple lightning tribulation clouds, heading straight for the purple lightning giant. In order to capture giant Jihua previously, Ningfan had sacrificed 50,000 years of his lifespan. This time he still wanted to capture the purple lightning giant. However, he did not know how much more lifespan he would have to sacrifice. Compared to the time when he captured the puppet giant previously, the situation was slightly better. Ningfan's magic power had greatly improved compared to the last time. The purple lightning giant, on the other hand, was slightly weaker than giant Jihua. Thus, the difficulty of capturing the purple lightning giant would naturally be lower compared to the last time. The amount of lifespan he would lose should also be lesser. After consuming some longevity pills, and some longevity pills of the shedding orchid sect, Ningfan only had around 50,000 years of lifespan left. It should be enough for him to capture the purple lightning giant. However, after capturing the purple lightning giant, Ningfan would certainly not have much lifespan left. If another void fragmentation realm puppet appears during his next breakthrough to the void pierce stage, Ningfan might not have enough lifespan to capture it. Moreover, Ningfan was still uncertain about the fact that the void inquiry stage heavenly tribulation this time was already comparable to the heavenly tribulation of the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The next heavenly tribulation of the void pierce stage would probably be even more terrifying. Silly little brother, now you know how troublesome it is to offend the heavenly Tao of the mortal world. Don't you? The next heavenly tribulation of the void pierce stage might be even harder to overcome. There's also the absolute void heavenly tribulation, and the void fragmentation realm heavenly tribulation in the future. Hee. I no longer dare to imagine how dangerous it will be for you when you break through to the void fragmentation realm. Perhaps you will really die under one of the heavenly tribulations. Luo Yu sounded like she was teasing him, but her words were deeply concerned. There's nothing I can do even if I offend the heavenly Tao of the mortal world. From the moment I captured giant Jihua, this path was already destined. Since there's no turning back, why should I regret it? Ningfan suddenly kept his ancient golden sword, and stood 100,000 zhang away from the giant. His eyes gradually turned cold and dignified. His life force was depleting rapidly. He had lost nearly 30,000 years of lifespan. An ancient aura force rose around his body, as if he was standing at the peak of all living beings. He slowly closed his right eye and a black crescent moon suddenly appeared in his left eye. At the moment the crescent moon appeared, the back of the giant was drenched in cold sweat. He turned his head in disbelief and met Ningfan's extremely cold eyes. Purple lightning, from today onwards, you will be my second heavenly tribulation puppet. Impossible. This is impossible. Ah. The giant's body shuddered. It was in an indescribable pain. Countless black crescent moon runes appeared on its body. It wanted to resist these crescent moon runes, but Ningfan suddenly got close to it, and erased all of its spiritual consciousness. The purple lightning tribulation clouds that filled the sky gradually dispersed. The giant's eyes gradually became empty. With a loud bang, the giant suddenly knelt down in front of Ningfan and kowtowed respectfully. Purple lightning, greets my lord. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu heaved a sigh of relief and revealed an admiring expression. This silly brother actually captured another heavenly tribulation puppet. He must have gone mad. Elder sister really admires him. 10,000 li away from the desolate island, as the giant surrendered, the tribulation clouds that filled the sky dissipated. The purple lightning chains on the three demonesses also disappeared. The moment the purple lightning chains disappeared, the three demonesses' faces turned pale. They could not care less about suppressing their injuries, and fled to the direction of the courtyard with all their might. Terrifying. It's too terrifying. The person they wanted to hunt was actually such a terrifying madman, who possessed a heavenly tribulation puppet, and captured a second one. Putting aside his cultivation base, the fact that he had two void fragmentation realm spiritual puppets alone was enough for him to run amok in the rain world, and make the void fragmentation realm old monsters of the rain world wary. With their insignificant cultivation base, if they provoke him, they would simply be courting death. Trying to leave? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. He pointed at Jihua and Purple Lightning, turning them back into puppets and keeping them in his storage pouch. After that, he stepped on the ancient golden sword and chased after the three demonesses. The speed of the ancient golden sword was close to the void fragmentation realm. How could the three demonesses escape from it? As soon as they realized that Ning Fan was chasing after them, their scalps went numb and their faces were filled with despair. We're doomed. That malefic star has caught up to us. We're dead. Chapter 537. Ning Fan stepped on the ancient golden sword. His eyes flashed with cold light as he chased after the three demonesses. The three of them had been spying on Ning Fan all this while. Moreover, they did not conceal their killing intent at all. Since they came with ill intentions, it was impossible for Ning Fan to let them go. The speed of the ancient sword was close to the void fragmentation realm. The three demonesses could not escape at all. In just a few breaths' time, Ning Fan had already caught up with them. Ning Fan kept his ancient sword and coldly stood in front of the three demonesses, blocking their escape route. Not good. That fiend has caught up to us. We can't escape. The speed of this fiend's golden sword is too terrifying. We can't escape at all. He didn't summon any void fragmentation realm spiritual puppets. Let's fight it out with him. The three demonesses knew that they no longer had any hope of escaping. They could only fight Ning Fan to the death. Without hesitation, each of them summoned their natal magic treasures and attacked Ning Fan. Demon Bone Fan, In Phoenix Stab, Poison King Cauldron. The three magic treasures were all high-grade mortal void realm treasures. Their attacks were launched at Ning Fan's head. Their momentum was so great that it shook heaven and earth. Ning Fan, however, remained unmoved. With a flick of his sleeve, he took out a blood umbrella and pointed it at the three treasures. The blood umbrella opened and emitted faint red spirit wheel halos. The three magic treasures were all absorbed into the blood umbrella. The three demonesses were greatly shocked. Ning Fan's blood umbrella was just too strange. With his void inquiry stage magic power, he could actually take away a high-grade mortal void magic treasure with ease. Judging from the situation, unless the three of them used their peak mortal void realm magical treasures, they would not be able to fight against Ning Fan at all. If he breaks through to the void pierce stage, he could probably use the blood umbrella to take away all magic treasures below the void fragmentation realm and immortal void realm. Since we can't hurt him with our treasures, we'll use our demonic arts to kill him. In a panic, the three women all formed hand seals, and a vast sea of void appeared beneath their feet. Rolling demonic power swept through the world. Of course, Ning Fan would not give them the chance to make hand seals and use their magic. He stepped on his ancient sword and turned into a pure golden sword light. In an instant, he disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was already behind the three women. The magic power in his hand condensed into a half-black and half-white rope, and he threw it at the three women. The three women felt a sense of crisis from the black and white rope. They wanted to avoid it, but it was too late. The rope suddenly sped up, and with a flash of light, the three women were all bound by the rope. The power of this black and white rope was clearly not as strong as Giant Zidian's Thunder Lock, but when it bound the three women, it actually sealed all of their mana. Their bodies went limp and they couldn't move at all. The three women's faces turned pale as they realized that the black and white rope was an extremely terrifying art of enchantment that was especially effective against female cultivators. This magic technique was none other than the Yin imprisoning rope that Ning Fan used to capture Old Ancestor Bai Tong. Yin plucking finger, Yin imprisoning rope. The further he cultivated the yin-yang transformation, the more terrifying it would be against female cultivators. From this day forth, all of you are my furnaces. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he captured the three demonesses and brought them back to the desolate island. After plucking them, their cultivation base had reached the harmonious spirit realm. Then he imprisoned them in the Repentance Palace in the Cauldron World. He was not a kind person. If others wanted to harm him, he would not show mercy. In the past, Ning Fan fused his magic power, demon power and devil chi together. Even though he plucked the demonesses, it could still increase his magic power. After plucking the 3 women, his magic power increased by 200,000 units, reaching 8.2 million units. In addition to the 9 million units of essence qi in his body, Ningfan's total magic power had reached a terrifying 17.2 million units, which was not much different from the 20 million units of magic power of an absolute void stage cultivator. Theoretically speaking, one could begin to break through the bottleneck of the void fragmentation realm when they reach 36 million units of magic power. However, the chances of breaking through were extremely slim. Many absolute void stage old monsters had cultivated their magic power to 80 to 90 million units of magic power, but there were still very few who could break through to the void fragmentation realm. In the end, they died of old age. The amount of magic power required to break through to the void fragmentation realm was too vast. In the void fragmentation realm, 60 units of magic power returned to the origin. The unit used to measure magic power was no longer 60 units but yuan hui. A 60 unit was 60 years while a yuan hui was 12,600 years. The magic power of a void fragmentation realm expert and a void refinement realm expert were not on the same level at all. That was why it was difficult for a void fragmentation realm expert to defeat an opponent who was at a higher level. If Ningfan wants to break through to the void fragmentation realm, he must find some void fragmentation realm magic arts to cultivate during his time in the absolute void stage, so that his 60 units of magic power would turn into Yuanhui magic power. As for how much Yuanhui magic power he would need to break through to the void fragmentation realm, it was different for everyone. Thus, Ningfan was not sure. There were a few void fragmentation realm cultivators around him, but none of them could fuse magic power, demon power and devil qi into one like Ningfan. Obviously, the void fragmentation realm magic arts of others were no longer suitable for Ningfan. If he wants to break through to the void fragmentation realm, he must first find a void fragmentation realm magic art that was suitable for both the demon race, devil race and human race. In order to find such a magic art, he would most likely need to spend some effort. Only after breaking through to the absolute void stage will I need the void fragmentation realm magic art. I have just broken through to the void inquiry stage now. I am still very far away from the absolute void stage. I am not in a hurry to find a magic art. Now that I have broken through to the void inquiry stage, none of the female cultivators below the void fragmentation realm are my match. As for male cultivators, with my current cultivation base, I am absolutely invincible among the void fragmentation realm experts. I should be able to fight against absolute void stage experts who have yet to reach the absolute void stage. However, if I face those absolute void stage experts who have cultivated Yuanhui magic power, I am afraid that my chances of winning are slim. Ningfan pondered for a while on the desolate island. After a long time, he left the south-gazing sea with a flash of traveling light. At the border between the south-gazing sea and the 800 cultivation countries, Ningfan was surprised and stopped his traveling light. On the coast of a cultivation country near the south-gazing sea, a lady was standing quietly on a reef. She was looking at the waves alone, as if she was waiting for someone. That lady wore a snow-white robe made of rainbow feathers. Her face was covered with a thin veil. Her sleeves fluttered in the wind. Her features were picturesque but her expression was cold and arrogant. She was like an otherworldly saintess who despised the mortal world. Her body was exuding the qi of a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator. She watched the waves rise and fall without saying a word. Only when she saw Ningfan's traveling light passing by did she raise her head. Her eyes were filled with resentment, longing and complicated emotions. "I'm waiting for you." Her tone was cold. "Waiting for me, huh?" Ningfan also wore a disappointed expression. He landed on the reef and stood side by side with the lady. "Should I call you Cici or Si Wuxia or Weiliang?" The lady in white robes in front of him was the sect master of the Heaven Separation sect in the past. Si Wuxia. Her other identity was Mu Weiliang's 7 physical souls. Because she was Mu Weiliang's 7 physical souls, Ningfan could not bear to kill her in the past. Even though he knew that she was an enemy, he still let her go. Ningfan admitted that he had never owed any woman. However, when he thought about it now, the one he owed the most was actually Si Wuxia. In the past, in order to save Ninggu, Ningfan annihilated the Heaven Separation sect in a fit of anger and captured Wuxia. He erased her memories and refined her into a spiritual puppet. Now that he thought about it carefully, even though Wuxia was at fault in the past, the ones who plotted against Ningfan and Ninggu were just the elders of the Heaven Separation sect, and not Wuxia herself. Didn't Wuxia's clone come to the lower realm purely for that one purpose? She just wanted to find Mu Weiliang's 3 physical souls. Why would she go through so much trouble to murder 2 mortal young men? The grudges in the past were hard to explain. However, Ningfan only felt that he owed Wuxia something. She was Weiliang's 7 physical souls. No matter what, how could he hurt her? You have indeed guessed my identity? When she heard Ningfan calling her Weiliang, Wuxia's delicate body trembled. Her eyes revealed a hint of sorrow. She was Mu Weiliang's 7 physical souls. Because her 7 physical souls had yet to dissipate, she still retained some memories of her past life. She remembered the 3 physical souls and the butterfly. In the past, she violated the heavenly rules of the Kunlun Jade Pool in the Western Heaven, and let her clone descend to the lower realm secretly. It was because she sensed the existence of the 3 physical souls in the Rain World, and wanted to find them. Unfortunately, before her clone could break through to the nascent soul realm, and start searching for the 3 physical souls, she was destroyed by Ningfan in the Heaven Separation sect, and became his human cauldron puppet. Her memories became blank. She became Cici. She began to rely on Ningfan. She began to like him, however, when she remembered everything. How painful it was to be humiliated by Ningfan and refined her puppet. She couldn't help but feel agony. She had already regained her memories during the battle between the devils and Yu Country. She wished that she could stab Ningfan in the back and let him die in Yu Country. However, in the end, she still could not harden her heart and help Ningfan resist the invasion of the Heavenly Dao sect. She took Ningfan's nascent formation pill and left in sorrow. She still remembered the resolute words that day. From today onwards, we don't owe each other anything. When she returned to Yu Country and found that Ningfan had already found Mu Weiliang's 3 physical souls, she vaguely understood something. How could they not owe each other anything? They were already entangled with each other in their previous lives. He was that butterfly. In order to protect her, he destroyed an immortal emperor's eye. She was searching for the 3 physical souls, and also the butterfly in her previous life. Who would have thought that the butterfly that she was concerned about was actually the young man who hurt her? She only wished to part with him for a long time. Who would have thought that they would still owe each other when they were young? Ningfan sighed. He raised his hand, wanting to touch the side of Wuxia's face. However, when he saw Wuxia's eyes, which were like avoiding snakes and scorpions, he finally put down his hand. Do you still hate me? Hate? If I turn you into a puppet, if I erase your memories, if I trample on your dignity, if I also love you, will you hate me? Wuxia gritted her teeth. The deeper the love, the stronger the hatred. She hated Ningfan, but no matter what, she could not harden her heart to become his enemy. It turned out that she had always loved Ningfan, be it in her previous life or this life. All of a sudden, she grabbed Ningfan's hand and fiercely bit his arm with her teeth. Ningfan did not dare to use his physical body to defend himself. He let her bite him as he was afraid that his ancient devil physical body would hurt her. His arm was bleeding from Wuxia's bites. He did not say anything, nor did he stop her. He just let her vent her emotions. After a long time, Wuxia gradually calmed down. Then, she said with a sarcastic tone, I didn't expect that the young man who was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator in the past would actually reach this level after 40 years of tempering, and become the famous Marquis, white-robed in the Rain World. You have become a void inquiry stage expert. Your cultivation talent is really shocking. I'm afraid the 4 great sects of the Heaven Suppression sect will come to recruit you in the future, and help you ascend. However, I advise you not to ascend to the Western Heaven immortal world. You are an ancient devil. You are a vile creature that many Buddhist sects in the Western Heaven are happy to kill. If you ascend to the Western Heaven, given the hatred between us, I will certainly tell others that you are an ancient devil. When that time comes, You will be hunted down by countless true immortal Buddhist cultivators and die without a burial place. Si Wuxia's tone sounded like she was threatening Ningfan. However, Ningfan could hear a hint of concern in her voice. Is Si Wuxia reminding me not to ascend to the Western Heaven? Is this woman actually concerned about me from the bottom of her heart? Ningfan also knew that the Buddhist sect of the Western Heaven had an irreconcilable feud with the ancient devils. Even if he were to ascend to the Western Heaven, he would certainly not do so. Thank you. What are you thanking me for? I don't care about your life or death at all. Si Wuxia turned her head away stubbornly. You waited for me in the Southern Sea today just to tell me this? Speaking of which, how did you find me? Ningfan asked. The entire Yu country knows that Marquis White-Robed has gone to the South Gazing Sea to undergo his tribulation. Is it difficult for me to know your whereabouts? As for the reason why I'm looking for you this time, it's because I have something to discuss with you. First of all, I'm very grateful to you for finding my 3 spiritual souls. When Si Wuxia said the word thank you, she obviously sounded a little reluctant. Not only have I found the 3 spiritual souls, but also the 7 physical souls. Ningfan looked at Si Wuxia quietly and said with a smile, the 7 physical souls will never belong to you. Si Wuxia frowned and glared at Ningfan with a frosty expression. Then she continued. No matter what kind of grudges we had in our previous life or in this life, it has nothing to do with us now. We no longer owe each other anything. Is that so? Ningfan sighed. It seemed like it would not be easy to make Si Wuxia accept him again in a short period of time. The reason why I'm looking for you is to tell you that I can sense that Mu Weiliang's corpse will wake up in about 20 years. Before that, you have to return her 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls to her, so that the souls can return to their original positions. Si Wuxia lowered her eyes, hiding her reluctant expression. She had 7 physical souls while Jihe and the other girls had 3 spiritual souls. If the souls are returned to their original positions, Jihe and the other girls would be erased from this world. If the souls do not return to their original positions, even if Mu Weiliang is resurrected, she would only be an empty shell without a soul. She was reluctant to die. No one was willing to die. However, it was her mission as one of the 7 physical souls to return Mu Weiliang's soul to its original position. So you have sensed that Weiliang is about to wake up? You must be here to discuss the matter of returning Weiliang's soul to its original position. Unfortunately, I don't have the intention of returning her soul to its original position. What? You don't want to return her soul to its original position? Do you know how long her soul has been drifting for? Do you know how much she wants to open her eyes and look at that damned butterfly? She misses you so much, but you don't want to return her soul to its original position. Si Wuxia's face was cold and filled with anger. It's not that I don't want to, it's just that I don't want to. To me, whether it's Jihe, Mu Xiaoliang or Mu Xiaohuan, all of them are Weiliang. As for you, Si Wuxia, you are also Weiliang. All of you are her. If she returns to its original position, all of your existences will be erased? I don't think this is Weiliang's wish. 20 years later, she will use the power of the 7 relics to create a fake soul. Then she will wake up and come back to life. She doesn't have a real soul. Perhaps she can't be considered as a real living person. However, one day, I will find a way to truly resurrect Weiliang without harming you, Jihe, Xiaoyang and Xiaohuan. I have said that I will allow her to live a peaceful life. In this life, I will definitely allow her to live a peaceful life. After hearing Ningfan's words, Si Wuxia's anger gradually dissipated. A trace of complicated feelings gradually rose in her heart. It turned out that Ningfan was not only concerned about Mu Weiliang, but also about them who were the 3 souls and 7 spirits. She recalled the scene when Ningfan gave her the nascent formation pill and let her go. Her cold heart gradually melted. All right. You are the butterfly that she has been waiting for. If you don't want to return her soul to its original position, then so be it. Anyway, I don't want to be erased from existence. However, remember what you said. One day, you must condense a real soul for her. Otherwise, I will never let you go. You have already found all 3 of my souls. There is no longer any meaning for my clone to stay in the lower realm. I will return to the Western Heaven immortal world now. In another 50 years, the sealed door of the ancient heavenly court will open again. At that time, I will send a void fragmentation realm clone to look for you. Ningfan was slightly stunned by Si Wuxia's words. Why are you looking for me in 50 years? There is an undying tree in the ancient heavenly court. It can help cultivators who have lost their souls to condense their souls. 50 years later, I will bring you to the undying tree to help Mu Weiliang condense her soul. As soon as Si Wuxia finished speaking, she made a series of hand seals with her bare hands, displaying a magic technique called the body-shattering art. It could shatter a clone and bring its memories back to its original body. She wanted to return to the Western Heaven. We will meet again in 50 years, right, Cici? Ningfan's lips curled up. All of a sudden, he took a step forward and pulled Si Wuxia, who was making hand seals, into his arms, hugging her tightly. Let go. You are not allowed to touch me. Shameless. Shameless. Si Wuxia's face was as cold as ice. She was unwilling to be hugged by Ningfan, but at the same time, she was reluctant to break free from his embrace. I won't let go. You can forget about escaping too. I am your tribulation. In this life, you will never be able to escape. While Ningfan was smiling, Si Wuxia's figure gradually faded. Her clone broke into rays of starlight and floated towards the four heavens. Beside the sacred pond of the Kunlun Jade Pool in the Western Heaven, a woman in white robes with a veil covering her face was sitting peacefully on a green rock beside the pool. All of a sudden, rays of starlight flew into her body. She closed her eyes with a complicated expression and sighed softly. Are you my tribulation? Saintess, what are you talking about? What tribulation? Could it be that the great heavenly tribulation of your shedding void realm is approaching? That's not a trivial matter. A maid asked with concern. No, it's not a heavenly tribulation. I was just saying it casually. The woman in white robes stared at the ripples of the sacred pond. Her expression gradually became complicated, and she remained silent for a long time. Chapter 538. After Si Wuxia's clone disappeared, Ningfan was still standing on the reef in the South Sea. There were two beautiful words carved on a huge reef beside him. It should be carved by Si Wuxia when she was waiting for Ningfan. It was the plum blossom small regular script. Tianya, Si Wuxia engraved these two words, probably to bid farewell to Ningfan. Unfortunately, Ningfan hugged her stubbornly and swore to become her tribulation. He probably did not want to give her a chance to bid farewell. Ningfan looked at the seawater, and his eyes gradually darkened. The waves that hit the shore would eventually return to the sea. She belonged to the Kunlun Jade Pool. She had left. It turns out that even after 50 years, I still feel reluctant to part with her. Ningfan sighed softly. He remembered the promise he made with Si Wuxia to find the undying tree in the ancient heavenly court 50 years later. Now he had to return to 7 Apricot City. Just as he was about to leave, a messenger flying sword suddenly flew towards him from the sky, following his chi. Ningfan bent his palm and caught the flying sword in his hand. Then he crushed it. A voice transmission immediately entered Ningfan's ears. It was Su Qiuling's voice. If you succeed in the void inquiry stage, return quickly. 7 Apricot City has a guest. It's Qiu Han's Dao companion from the Southeast Cultivator Alliance. 10 years had passed and Su Qiuling had already broken through to the mid-divine transformation realm. She could now send a messenger flying sword. Jihe, Lanmei, Bai Lu and the other women had also formed their gold core realm. Even Bai Su had broken through to the harmonious spirit realm. As for Yu Lingkong, her magic power had greatly increased with the help of the moonlight gem Ningfan gave her. However, she was still far from breaking through to the void pierce stage. That moonlight gem was what Ningfan obtained from the auction of the Misthorn clan. After listening to Su Qiuling's message, Ningfan revealed a thoughtful expression. 7 Apricot City had a guest. That guest was a member of the Southeast Cultivator Alliance of the Rain World. Her name was Qiu Han's Dao companion. Yu country and more than 100 cultivation countries were located in the southeastern continent of the Rain World. Before the rise of 7 Apricot City, the Southeast Cultivator Alliance was the biggest force in the southeastern continent. It was an alliance of rogue cultivators. The alliance leader was Chiu Han's Dao companion. They were husband and wife. Her husband, Yang Chiu, was a void-pierce stage sword cultivator. Her mother, Sun Zihan, was a void inquiry stage zither cultivator. Ning Fan's mind raced, but he could not figure out why she would come to 7 Apricot City. The only thing that bothered him about the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance was that when he parted ways with Yin Ruowei in the Great Jin, Yin Ruowei had said that she wanted to leave the Rain Palace and join the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. Yin Ruowei. When I was in Great Jin, I once saw Ning Qian and Yin Tianjue in her dream. I heard that the reason why she could join the Rain Palace as a demon was because of Yin Tianjue's recommendation. If my memory serves me right, the winged demon Ning Qian in his dream is my mother. Yin Tianjue lost his memory, so he doesn't remember Ning Qian. Therefore, he can't confirm the relationship between this person and Ning Qian. Yin Ruowei definitely knew. With Yin Ruowei's help, I might be able to find Ning Qian. Ning Qian. Mother. I was born without a father or a mother. If I found my mother, I would be at a loss. In the past, Dong Su had helped me predict that my mother is still alive and is still in the Rain Immortal world. As a son, I have to find my mother's whereabouts to be at ease. Ning Fan could not help but chuckle and shake his head. Speaking of which, he had promised to help old ancestor Dong Su break through to the Void Refinement Realm. If 10 years have passed, Dong Su must have already made all the necessary preparations. If he has the time, he would help Dong Su break through to the Void Refinement Realm in the Sovereign Tomb. With his current comprehension of the word void, it should not be difficult for him to help Dong Su break through to the Void Refinement Realm. Qi Ning Fan's body swayed and turned into a ray of traveling light, returning to Yu Country. The Flying Snow Palace in the western part of 7 Apricot City was a newly built palace that was used to receive cultivators from all walks of life. Inside the Flying Snow Palace, Su Yan, Yu Lingkong, Ming Kei, Su Qiuling and the other female cultivators were sitting on the main seats, receiving the guests. A male cultivator in green robes and a female cultivator in pink robes were sitting on the guest seats. Behind them stood more than 40 nascent Soul Realm cultivators and 6 Divine Transformation Realm cultivators. The female cultivator in pink robes was called Sun Han. She looked around 27 or 28 years old. Her appearance was not exceptionally beautiful, but she looked extremely dignified. The male cultivator in green robes was called Yang Qiu. He carried himself in a scholarly manner. Unfortunately, there were a few scars on his face, making him look like a bandit. These two people were none other than the Alliance Lord of the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance, Chiu Han, and her Dao companions. As for the cultivators standing behind them, they were all rogue cultivators who were brought here from the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. Su Yan was once the leader of a clan while Yu Lingkong was once the leader of a sect. Thus, receiving guests was naturally a piece of cake for them. Chiu Han's Dao companion came to visit 7 Apricot City. However, she did not mention a single word about the purpose of her visit. She only said that she would tell Ning Fan when he returns. What exactly are the people of the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance coming to 7 Apricot City? Yu Lingkong asked Su Yan using telepathy. I have no idea. However, I heard that this Chiu Han's Dao companion is a rogue cultivator on the surface. In reality, she has already submitted to the Rain Palace and has the status of a guest elder. Moreover, she often conveys secret orders on behalf of the Rain Sovereign. Perhaps they came here because they have a secret order for Ning Fan. Su Yan guessed. On the roof of the Flying Snow Palace, a small black sable was yawning lazily. It was protecting 7 Apricot City, as if it was guarding against Chiu Han's Dao companion coming with ill intentions. All of a sudden, a ray of traveling light landed in 7 Apricot City. The small sable raised its eyes lazily and glanced at the traveling light. Then it let out a soft snort and turned away. Humph! This stinky man has finally returned. It seems like he has succeeded in his void inquiry stage cultivation. His luck is not bad. That traveling light did not conceal its void inquiry stage aura force at all. When it landed outside the flying snow palace, it turned into the figure of a young man in white robes. It was none other than Ning Fan. He walked into the flying snow palace step by step. When the women in the palace sensed the void inquiry stage aura force that Ning Fan was giving off, all of them revealed looks of joy. It seemed like Ning Fan had already succeeded in his void inquiry stage cultivation base. Qiu Han's Dao companion was slightly stunned. When she saw Ning Fan entering the flying snow palace, she immediately rose to her feet. The man cupped his fists while the woman greeted him. Qiu Han and her Dao companion of Luoqiu country greet Marquis White Robe. Fellow Taoists, you're being too courteous. May I know why you have come to visit my 7-apricot city? Ning Fan cupped his fist to return the greeting and sat on the main seat. His eyes inadvertently glanced at the many nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivators behind them. When he saw that Yin Ruowei was not among these cultivators, he could not help but feel a little disappointed. We have come to 7-apricot city to deliver an imperial order from the Rain Sovereign. Marquis White Robe, please take a look at the jade slip. Yang Qiu took out a jade box which contained a golden jade slip. With a flick of his finger, the jade slip flew to Ning Fan's seat. Ning Fan took out the golden jade slip and sent his spirit sense into it. The jade slip only contained the Rain Sovereign's decree. After Ning Fan read it, the jade slip immediately combusted without any fire and turned into ashes in an instant. The Rain Sovereign's secret order was very simple. He just hoped that Ning Fan would quickly go to the Rain Palace of the Middle State to discuss something with them. In the past, the Rain Sovereign conferred Ning Fan the title of a revered elder of the Rain Palace. In the end, he even conferred Ning Fan the title of the Scarlet Heaven Palace Lord because Ning Fan's inextinguishable fire body was of great use to him. He needed Ning Fan to retrieve an item from a certain abyssal flame sea. Now it was almost time for him to borrow Ning Fan's power. This golden jade slip was equipped with an array formation, and if one were to look at it once, it would turn into ashes. Presumably, the Autumn Cold Dao companions did not know the contents of the jade slip. The Rain Sovereign actually sent a message to Ning Fan in such a secretive manner. It seemed like the Rain Sovereign was plotting something big. What he wanted to take out from the Sea of Flames should not be an ordinary item. Have you seen the secret order? Yang Qiu asked with a smile. I have already received the secret order. I will head to the Middle Province in a few days. Ning Fan answered. That's good. Since that's the case, we will take our leave. Wait a moment, I want to ask the two of you about someone. Oh, may I know who you want to know? I have a friend whose name is Yin Ruowei. I heard that she has joined the Southeast Cultivator Alliance. May I know where she is now? Yin Ruowei. Yang Qiu was slightly stunned. Then he looked at Ning Fan meaningfully. I've long heard that Marquis White Robe is a man of temperament. You are elegant, romantic, and have countless beauties. Now that I've met you today, it's really he. This Yin Ruowei is indeed in my Southeast Cultivator Alliance. However, this woman has some background. She is the sworn sister of the white-robed sword god. Marquis White Robe, it's best if you don't provoke this woman. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. Yang Qiu was already being very polite by saying that Ning Fan was a romantic. Ning Fan had a great reputation in the Rain world. However, all of his reputation was fierce and evil. His fierce reputation came from killing countless people, while his evil reputation came from plucking human cauldrons. Yang Qiu came to 7-apricot city today, and saw that Ning Fan had countless wives and concubines. Naturally, he was even more convinced that Ning Fan was a lecherous person. Whether Ning Fan was lecherous or not had nothing to do with him. When he saw Ning Fan asking about Yin Ruowei, he thought that Ning Fan had designs on her. Thus he kindly reminded him. Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. He did not expect that his reputation had already been ruined to such an extent. Whenever he talks about women, others would think that he was up to no good. Don't worry, fellow Taoist Yang. Yin Ruowei and I have known each other for a long time. The reason why I'm looking for her is because I have some questions that I want to ask her face to face. I certainly don't have any ill intentions. I see. It seems like I've misunderstood you. Since fellow Taoist just wants to ask this woman some questions, I can naturally tell you her whereabouts. However, I have a condition. Oh, I wonder what condition fellow Taoist Yang has? Ning Fan could see a hint of eagerness in Yang Qiu's eyes. He had already guessed what his condition was. I want to have a friendly match with Marquis White Robe. Yang Qiu's eyes were filled with battle intent. He continued. During the Battle of the 100 Sects in the Endless Sea, Marquis White Robe had established a great reputation. I've admired you for a long time. Rumor has it that during the Battle of the 100 Sects, Marquis White Robe was only at the half-step void refinement realm, but his name had already spread far and wide. During the previous meeting in Song Country, fellow Taoist had a battle with the Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace, Feng Si. You won the battle. At that time, fellow Taoist's cultivation base was at the Void Glimpse stage. Judging from fellow Taoist's Qi now, you should have broken through to the Void Inquiry stage. I suppose your strength must have improved again. Therefore, I want to have a friendly match with fellow Taoist. Let's not overdo it. It was hard to tell that this Yang Qiu was actually a person who liked to fight despite his refined manner. No wonder there was a scar on his face. He must have been slashed by someone during a friendly match. As long as Marquis White Robe is willing to have a friendly match with me, I will tell you Yin Ruawe's whereabouts no matter who wins or loses. Hearing that Yang Qiu wanted to have a friendly match with Ning Fan, Su Qiuling and the other women could not help but look worried. Big Brother has just broken through to the Void Inquiry stage. His cultivation base hasn't stabilized yet. It's not suitable for him to have a friendly match. It doesn't matter. I caught a few cauldrons in the southern gazing sea. After plucking them, my cultivation base has already stabilized. It won't be a problem for me to fight with others. Ning Fan smiled confidently at the women, telling them not to worry. Then he took a step forward and said to Yang Qiu, fellow Taoist Yang, where do you want to have a friendly match? Void refinement realm experts like us will cause quite a lot of ripples when we fight. Fellow Taoist, please follow me into this heavenly dwelling. The two of us can just fight inside. Yang Qiu stroked the jade ring on his finger. Immediately, a green door of light appeared in front of him, and he stepped into the light door. Ning Fan used his spirit sense to check. After realizing that there was nothing unusual inside the light door, he also entered the light door. He was not worried that Yang Qiu would have evil intentions. A mere heavenly dwelling level space could not trap him at all. Sigh. I heard that Yang Qiu is extremely strong. There are only a few Void Pierce stage experts in the Rain world who are his match. Little Cucumber has just broken through to the Void Inquiry stage. Nothing will happen to him, right? Yu Lingkong said worriedly. She was naturally not worried that Ning Fan would lose. Instead, she was worried that Ning Fan would not be able to control his strength well since he had just broken through to the Void Inquiry stage. Against someone at Yang Qiu's level, he could not show any mercy. Thus, he naturally needed to use his full strength. If the power of his magic technique is too great, it would cause Yang Qiu to have nothing left of him. Then he would be in trouble for nothing. Little sister Yu Air, don't worry. Even though my husband is strong, Marquis White Robe isn't a weakling either. Even if he loses to my husband, he won't lose too badly. At most, he will suffer some light injuries. Sun Han chuckled and comforted Yu Lingkong. Her tone was filled with endless confidence for Yang Qiu's victory. Falling Leaf Sword, Yang Qiu was famous in the Rain world for his falling leaf sword style. Even all the cultivators of the Absolute Void stage were rather fearful of him. Sun Han naturally did not think that her husband would lose to Ning Fan, who had just broken through to the Void Inquiry stage, even though Ning Fan was already notorious. Unexpectedly, just as Sun Han's voice fell, a loud bang suddenly resounded in the Flying Snow Palace. The heavenly dwelling space was shattered into pieces. Yang Qiu's entire body was stained with blood and his robes were tattered. He appeared in the Flying Snow Palace in a panic. His face was filled with deep fear. Even though he was not severely injured, he looked extremely miserable. Terrifying. It's too terrifying. He had followed Ning Fan into the heavenly dwelling space. Just as he displayed a move of the falling leaf sword style, he was instantly defeated by Ning Fan's myriad sword style. Even his heavenly dwelling magic treasure was shattered into pieces. As for Ningfan, he held the Separation Slayer sword and appeared in the Flying Snow Palace in a flash. His robes were not even wrinkled. Anyone with discerning eyes could see that Ningfan was the winner, and Yang Qiu was the loser. Sun Han was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. From the moment Yang Qiu and Ningfan entered the heavenly dwelling space to the moment Yang Qiu was defeated and the space was shattered, only 6 to 7 breaths had passed. Initially, she was certain that her husband would definitely win. However, her husband, whom she was proud of, was actually defeated by Ningfan in just a few breaths. How could this be possible? It was totally impossible. Her husband was an expert whom even cultivators of the Absolute Void stage had to treat with respect. Cough cough. Marquis Whiterobe's name is known throughout the Rain world. I have admired you for a long time, but I didn't expect you to be this strong. I'm afraid you can even put up a fight against cultivators of the Absolute Void stage. Yang Qiu smiled bitterly. If he had known that Ningfan was so strong, he would certainly not ask for humiliation by sparring with Ningfan. I'm sorry. I have just broken through to the Void Inquiry stage, and I haven't mastered the control of my strength yet. Ningfan also smiled bitterly. After entering the heavenly dwelling space, Yang Qiu's first move was the falling leaf sword style. Ningfan naturally did not dare to underestimate his move, when he saw that it was extremely sharp, which was almost comparable to an attack from an Absolute Void stage cultivator. However, he did not have a deep grudge against Yang Qiu. Thus, he naturally would not use the Void Ignition technique to kill him. His original intention was to display the Myriad Sword style, and defeat Yang Qiu with a slight difference in strength to save his opponent some face. Unexpectedly, the Myriad Sword style was originally a Void Fragmentation Realm sword technique. As Ningfan's magic power increased, the destructive power of his sword technique became even more terrifying. If it wasn't for Ningfan, who diverted his sword light at the critical moment and destroyed the heavenly dwelling space, Yang Qiu would probably have died under the Myriad Sword style. It seemed like Ningfan would need a lot of time to adjust his magic power to the Void Inquiry stage. Fellow Taoist, divine ability is amazing. This Yang is ashamed of my inferiority. This Yang has seen countless people, but it's rare to meet someone like fellow Taoist. I'm afraid that even the white-robed sword god when he was young might not have the strength that fellow Taoist has. I admire you. If fellow Taoist wants to know the whereabouts of Yin Ruawei, this Yang will tell you the truth. Actually, Yin Ruawei came with us to 7 Apricot City, but she temporarily went to a place to find some blue jade pendant. Yang Qiu's tone was unusually polite. He was afraid of being beaten by Ningfan's. A blue jade pendant? What is that? Where did she go? Ningfan was slightly surprised. She's in Haining of Wu country. That was a slip of the tongue. Now that Wu country has merged with Yu country, it's time to call her Haining of Yu country. Haining? Could she have gone to the Ning family? Why? A strange feeling arose in Ningfan's heart. He had some guesses, but he couldn't be sure. Perhaps I should visit the Ning family before I go to Zhongzhou. Chapter 539. The Autumn Frost Dao companion left with the group of itinerant cultivators. After that, he sent a message transmitting flying sword to the Hollow Void Island in the Endless Sea. After that, his figure flashed, and he left 7 Apricot City. He wanted to go to the Ning family in Haining immediately to avoid meeting Yin Ruawei. Before he goes to the Middle State, there were some questions that Ningfan hoped to answer. His traveling light was extremely fast, traversing millions of miles in just a few moments. He passed through the realm-locking Grand Formation, and appeared in the territory of the former Wu country. In Haining city of Yu country, Ningfan landed beside the Jade Pond River, which was as green as jade. There were a few fishing boats on the Jade Pond River. Some woodcutters came down from the Jiebi Peak in the distance. They were all mortals and they were singing Wu songs. He had left Wu country for more than 50 years. When he heard the accent of his hometown, he felt a little nostalgic. There was once a mortal young man who carried a bamboo basket on his back. He walked past the Jade Pond River and entered Ningbai Peak time and time again to pick herbs. In the Ningbai Peak, That young man had saved Miss Qing of the Ning family and offended young Master Tian of the Ning family. In Hai Ning City, the young man was adopted by Ning Dainyu and spent 13 years with Ning Gu. The blood feud in Wu country had been avenged and Haining had become a memory. Young man, are you a foreigner who just came to Hai Ning? Are you lost? An old woodcutter asked enthusiastically when he saw Ning Fan's startled expression. Thank you, I know the way. He cupped his fists and bowed to woodcutter before turning around and walking towards Haining City. Hai Ning City had a 1,000-year history in the Wu country. The ancestor was named Ning Honghong. She took in many war orphans and established the Ning family. The reputation of the Ning family was quite good. Ordinary cultivation clans would rarely come into contact with mortals. The Ning family abided by the teachings of their ancestors and adopted some mortal orphans every year. In the past, Ning Fan was picked up by someone. When Ning Fan took revenge, he only killed Ning Tian and the others did not pursue the matter. In the end, it was because he felt grateful towards the Ning clan. Perhaps the Ning family did not treat him well. Perhaps his foster father Ning Dainyu did not treat him and Ning Gu well. But the grace of raising them was a grace that could not be erased and could not be forgotten. He spread out his grand virtual realm divine sense to cover an area of 400,000 miles. Every single blade of grass and every single tree in Hai Ning's territory entered his eyes. None of them noticed that Ning Fan was inspecting them. In the temple of the Ning clan, the third ancestor of the Ning clan was respectfully receiving a lady. When Ning Fan saw her, he smiled faintly. That lady was none other than Yin Ruawei. Fortunately, Ning Fan was not late and would not have met her. Presumably, he would be able to get some answers after meeting her. He did not immediately look for Yin Ruawei. At this moment, she seemed to be asking Ning Fan's three ancestors about some important matters. He was very sensible and did not want to disturb her. He walked to the pine forest outside Haining City and sighed when he saw a cottage that had been abandoned for many years. This cottage was the place where Ning Fan and Ning Gu used to live in the past. However, after more than 50 years of neglect, it no longer existed. He took a step forward and appeared on Ningbai Mountain. Stepping on the thick, withered leaves, he walked on the familiar yet strange mountain path. He had once followed this path and entered the deepest part of the Ningbai Peak. He was not afraid of the wolves in the mountain and had collected many rare spiritual herbs. In the depths of the mountain, the wolf demons noticed Ning Fan walking past them. Each of them crouched on the ground and trembled in fear. Even the Wolf King, who had an early harmonious spirit realm cultivation base, crawled in front of Ning Fan and stuck out its tongue like a puppy, showing an extremely respectful look. It did not dare to disobey Ning Fan at all. Mortals might not know about Ning Fan's cultivation base, but these wolf demons could instinctively sense how terrifying he was. Ning Fan squatted down and patted the Wolf King's head. Then he stroked its silver back and smiled faintly. Do you still remember me? Oh well. The only response that Ning Fan got was the Wolf King's puppy-like howl. You don't remember me, but I still remember you. In the past, those few good-for-nothings wanted to peek at Miss Qing while she was bathing. I discovered them and they chased after me. I lured them to the depths of the mountain. And it was you who ate them and helped me block a calamity. I have a bottle of Third Revolution pills here. After you consume it, you can condense your demon core as soon as possible and become a gold core realm demon wolf. Ning Fan took out a bottle of pills and passed it to the Wolf King. The Wolf King showed a human-like expression of excitement and snuggled on Ning Fan's lap like a puppy while barking happily. Oh whoa. However, you have to promise me that you won't bite the mortals who enter the mountain to gather herbs. It's fine if they are cultivators. After all, if they enter the depths of the mountain, I'm sure they are already prepared to fight against all of you. Their life and death will be up to the heavens. Awoo. The Wolf King promised Ning Fan. From then on, it would no longer harm any mortals. I'm leaving. Little fellow, could it be that you are a she-wolf? Why are you so clingy? Ning Fan patted the Wolf King's head and smiled faintly. Then he turned around and left. Awoo. The Wolf King howled bitterly. It was really a she-wolf. Ning Fan arrived at the extreme clarity pond of the Ningbai Peak. In the past, Miss Qing was prepared to bathe here. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's reminder, she would have already fallen into the devil's claws. Everything started from here. If I didn't save her with the intention to repay her kindness, I wouldn't have offended Ning Tian, and I wouldn't have stepped onto the path of devil cultivation. However, I don't regret it. If I was afraid of those few young cultivators and didn't care about the safety of my benefactor, then I wouldn't be Ning Fan. The path that I have taken is my Tao. I will never regret it. Ning Fan muttered to himself while walking towards the extreme purity pool. Before he even got close to the edge of the pool, he already heard the sound of rippling water. Then he saw a lady in a green dress sitting beside the extreme purity pool. Her embroidered shoes and stockings were taken off to one side, and the hem of her dress was slightly lifted. She dipped her feet into the cool water of the pool and gently stirred the water. The lady looked at the extreme purity pool. Her eyes were filled with longing. There was a hint of gratitude in her longing, but there was also a hint of helplessness in her gratitude. If it wasn't because of him in the past, I would have been humiliated by the evil thieves at the edge of the extreme purity pool. When he was in trouble, I didn't know about it and I couldn't save him. Because of that, he was sold to the bandits and ended up in Yu country, stepping onto the path of devil cultivation. I owe him a favor, but I will never be able to repay him. This lady was the young lady of the Ning family, Ning Qingqing. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. He did not expect to meet this lady at this place and time. He could not help but sigh when he heard her words that revealed her true feelings. Who is it? Who's peeping? Ning Qingqing suddenly heard someone sigh. She jumped to her feet in alertness and took out her flying sword while scanning her surroundings with vigilance. It's me, Ning Fan. Ning Fan walked out of the sparse forest leaves and approached the extreme purity pool. Then he smiled at Ning Qingqing. As soon as she saw that the person who came was actually Ning Fan, Ning Qingqing was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. Then, she wore a terrified expression and hurriedly greeted him. Ning Qingqing of the Ning family greets Marquis White Robe. Miss Qing, do you really want to be so distant with me? Don't you want to repay my favor? How do you want to repay me? Ning Fan teased her. His eyes purposely glanced at Ning Qingqing's bare feet. Ning Qingqing blushed. Knowing that she was being rude, she immediately put on her silk stockings and embroidered shoes. Inwardly, she felt a little helpless. Could it be that he heard everything I said to myself just now? She calmed herself down and lowered her head slightly. Then she answered Ning Fan. Qing Heir's cultivation base is low. I know that I don't have the qualifications to repay Marquis White Robe's favor. It's impossible for me to help Marquis White Robe with anything. Just now, Qing Heir was just speaking nonsense in a secluded place. What I said can't be taken seriously. I hope Marquis White Robe won't be calculative with me. I won't be calculative with you. However, I really have something that I need your help with. I wonder if Miss Qing can bring me to Ning Dania's grave to have a look? Ning Fan stopped smiling. His expression was a little sentimental. He could never forget the kindness of raising him up. No matter what happened in the past, Ning Dania was still his benefactor. Even though there were graves for the servants of the Ning family to be buried in after they died, there was no tombstone for them to erect. It was very difficult for Ning Fan to find Ning Dania's grave among the tens of thousands of desolate graves in the north of Haining City. Even though he asked this question, he did not really expect Ning Qingqing to know the answer. To his surprise, Ning Qingqing was only stunned for a moment. Then she immediately agreed. Since Marquis White Robe has given his order, how would Qing Heir dare to disobey? I'll bring Marquis to Ning Dania's grave right now. Oh, you actually know where a mortal's grave is? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. And I happen to know. Ning Qingqing's face was slightly red, but fortunately, her back was facing Ning Fan, and he didn't see it. It's just a coincidence. Ning Fan sighed again. As a cultivator and the proud daughter of the Ning family in Haining, Ning Qingqing would never care about the information of a mortal servant. Ning Fan was not a fool. The reason why Ning Qingqing would pay attention to Ning Dania was mostly because of him. This woman claimed to be repaying a debt of gratitude, but that didn't mean that there were no feelings behind it. The two of them turned into streaks of light and quickly arrived at a barren cemetery. Countless mounds were piled up on the ground, and within each mound must be the remains of a mortal. Ning Qingqing led Ning Fan around the graves in a well-practiced manner, and stopped at one of the countless graves. That was Ning Dania's grave. Although there was no tombstone, Ning Qingqing remembered it very clearly. At the edge of the desolate grave, there were still remnants of candles and fruit plates. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. Ning Dania did not have any relatives, and he was just a servant. He did not even have a tombstone after his death. He was afraid that no one would pay their respects to him. Ning Qingqing was probably the only one who would worship him. Thank you. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out some incense spiritual fruits, placing them in front of Ning Dania's grave. Why are you thanking me? I didn't do anything. Ning Qingqing's eyes were evasive. You've saved me twice and I've saved you once. You don't owe me anything and you don't have to pay me back. In fact, I owe you a favor. Tell me, what is your wish? I can fulfill it. I've saved you twice. Ning Qingqing obviously did not remember these past events. Yes. So you don't owe me anything. I owe you. Tell me, do you have any wish? As long as it's not too much, I will certainly fulfill it. Wish, huh? Ning Qingqing gently bit her lips and revealed a thoughtful expression. She really did not have any wish. She raised her head and looked at Ning Fan. Suddenly, her face blushed. She had a wish, but this wish was too extravagant. I don't have a wish. She lowered her head and sighed. Is that so? Then you can tell me when you've thought it through. The Ning family seems to be very lively today. Is there a distinguished guest? Yes. A nascent soul realm senior has come. I heard that he is a cultivator from the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. Ning Qingqing answered. Let's go and meet this nascent soul realm senior. They seem to have finished their discussion. I haven't seen her for many years. What about you? Are you going to the Ning family's temple with me, or continue playing in the water here? Ning Fan teased. I'm not playing in the water. Since you don't want to play in the water, then accompany me to have a look. Ning Fan smiled faintly. He used teleportation and carried Ning Qingqing to the outside of the Ning family's temple. Yin Ruowei had already finished her discussion with the three ancestors of the Ning family. She just walked out of the temple with a disappointed expression. All of a sudden, her face was filled with surprise. She realized that a young man in white robes and a lady in green dress had appeared outside the temple unknowingly. It's been many years, Miss Yin. Ning Fan's lips curved into a smile. It's you. As soon as Yin Ruowei saw Ning Fan, her face immediately showed a look of disbelief. She already knew that the little harmonious spirit realm young man in the past had already become the famous Marquis White Robe in the Rain world. When they first met, he had just achieved the harmonious spirit realm while she was a nascent soul realm old demon of the Lan Rua temple. She could easily eliminate this young man. But she was teased by him using a bewitching technique. When they met again, he was still at the harmonious spirit realm, but his name had spread across Great Jin, and his abilities were astonishing. Now that they met again after 50 years, he had already become an unreachable great figure, who could shake heaven and earth for a moment. Yin Ruowei did not know what to say. I heard that you're looking for a piece of blue jade? What kind of jade is that? Ning Fan suddenly asked. In the past, when he met the third prince of the Rain Palace, Yin Bushu, he had also asked about the blue jade. Now, Yin Ruowei was actually also looking for the blue jade. What exactly is the blue jade? I don't know what the blue jade you're talking about is. Yin Ruowei did not say it, but Ning Fan could read her mind with his mind-reading technique. Blue jade. Blue bridge jade. It was an ancient ornament in the cultivation world. In ancient times, every piece of blue bridge jade that was mined could be forged into 2 jade pendants. The jade was divided into 2 pieces. Only Dao companions who were in love would wear each other's pendants. Once they make a vow to the blue jade, they would be able to sense the location of the other jade holder no matter how far they were from each other, and eventually find them. What Yin Ruowei was looking for were the 2 pieces of blue jade that once belonged to Yin Tianjue and Ning Qian. Yin Tianjue's piece of blue jade had been destroyed. To be more precise, Yin Ruowei was looking for Ning Qian's jade. Ning Qian was her elder sister. As long as she finds the jade, she would know where her elder sister was. Yin Ruowei knew that Ning Qian was not dead, but she could not find her. That was the answer in Yin Ruowei's heart. Yin Tianjue. Ning Qian. Ning Fan was stunned. If Yin Tianjue and Ning Qian each had a piece of blue jade, they were Dao companions? If Ning Qian was his mother, then Yin Tianjue was. Do you need me to help you find the jade? Ning Fan asked with a frown. He remembered that he had seen in Ming Luo's dream that his surname was Yin in the past. Ning Fan did not care about his background. To him, it was the same whether his surname was Ning or Yun. However, at this moment, he wanted to find an answer. He wanted to unravel this mystery before he goes to the middle state. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.